Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Happy Tuesday. Welcome into the Annie Fry Show. I hope you all had a wonderful Labor Day weekend. I certainly did. We got Katie, we got Ryan here. I want to tell you a little story over this weekend. I feel like I had this moment of clarity, and maybe this will make sense to you, or maybe I'll just engage in a little bit of a story time here and you'll fall asleep. Hopefully that's not the case. So my husband and I went, our anniversary, we are going to be married 13 years on September 15th. So what we decided to do at a very last minute decision here was to go on a trip this weekend and celebrate our 13 years together. So we did that. So we took a little trip, just the two of us, grandparents, my mom and dad, my husband's mom and dad took care of the kids, and we just went and had a great time. So we were sitting at lunch at a restaurant on our trip, and it was it was really compelling to me how sitting at a table in this restaurant it was a small table. It was like a table just for two people. You couldn't have fit like a bunch of plates on this table. It was just a small table, him sitting on one side, me sitting on the other. And the restaurant was happening all around us. Obviously, we were sitting kind of in the middle of the room, and behind me, there was a large family there, and they had little kids there, and it was a conglomeration of probably two, maybe three families that were eating there at this restaurant together. And then behind my husband, there was a family, and the family had a small child, and the small child was being kind of noisy. And it was interesting because we were trying not to be rude since we didn't have any kids with us. So you're observant of actually the fact that the rest of the world exists around you. And it's not just your kids who, if you've been a parent, I don't know if grandparents have this as much, because I think grandparents, once you become a grandparent, you kind of become back in tune with the real world. And of course, you think your grandbabies can do no wrong for the most part. But as a parent, you're so used to the annoying things that your children do that sometimes you develop this ability to tune them out. And like maybe they're being super loud. My 4-year-old has 2 volumes, on and off. And the on volume is extremely loud, and the off volume is very suspicious. So there's very little room in between. But when she's talking really loud, I'm kind of used to that. But everybody else hasn't become used to that. So when you're with your kids, there's just this like constant murmur of noise. Or with my 4-year-old, it's a little bit more than a murmur. You just get used to it. When you're by yourself with your spouse, all of a sudden you're like, look at all the world happening around us. Who knew? Has this been happening for the last 10 years of my life and I just forgot? It has. It appears so. So my husband and I are sitting at this table, small table, facing each other in the middle of this restaurant. And he starts explaining to me what's going on with this family that was behind us. And we were kind of amused by it because they were all struggling to keep their kids quiet. And we're like, yep, that's right. We're not doing that right now. We feel pretty good about this. But he was explaining to me what was going on behind me. But I didn't want to like be obnoxious and turn my head, because they were at the table directly behind us. I would have had to like, do a whole 180, and I would have been basically like sniffing their food if I would have turned around. I didn't want to do that. He was explaining it to me. Well, then behind my husband, there was a child who was upset. I'll put it this way. This child was upset. This child was uncomfortable. To my husband, all he could hear was the uncomfortable nature with which this kid was unhappy and the noise that this child was therefore making. What he couldn't see is that this child was clearly a special needs child, and there were a mom and dad that were working their tail off to accommodate this situation. But my husband couldn't see that. He could just hear the noise. So I was walking him through what was going on and kind of explaining the situation. So my husband knew the circumstances and could then hear that noise in the context of what was real, but he couldn't see it. He could only hear something that actually sounded way out of context. Like, you know, you could be like, well, would somebody shut that bratty kid up? These parents were working their freaking tails off to accommodate this child in this restaurant and doing a really great job at it. And when I could see what was going on, my heart was warm watching these parents work with this child. And you know, the child wasn't all unhappy all the time, but the emotions were a roller coaster, and the upset emotions were a little bit louder than, you know, somebody else's in different circumstances would be. The only way that my husband could understand the context of what I was seeing and he was hearing is if I told him about it. In that moment, it makes me realize that when I talk about perspective all the time, when I talk about how you see something, we were all sitting in that same restaurant. We were all ordering off the same menu. The understanding that we all walked into this restaurant together meant we could all afford the food that was on the menu. You know, maybe some of us would order a salad and a water, and maybe some of us would order a steak and a margarita flight. One way or the other, we all walked into this restaurant with the understanding of what the circumstances of this restaurant were. We all made the choice to participate in this restaurant together, but we still could see in this restaurant, we could still have different experiences and understand those experiences very differently based on what we know because of what we've seen and based on what we hear without the context of being able to see the full picture. Which means that the only way that we can understand the full picture is if we communicate it to one another. And if we're willing to listen to one another. If I would have been explaining to my husband what was going on behind him, while he was explaining to me what was going on behind me, we wouldn't have listened to each other. We would have gotten all of our words in, but we wouldn't have known anything more. We wouldn't have been any more educated about what was going on in our circle, but we would have gotten our piece in. That would not have made the situation any better. Now, I think there's probably an eagerness, if you are listening to this story, to put it in the context of the protests and the riots that are taking place all over. There are people in this country who are very angry right now, who feel as though some civil disobedience is needed in order for perspective to be gained by people who may not see our reality from their perspective. Then there are rioters. And those are very different people. And I'm having a hard time anymore separating the peaceful protests from the rioters because, gosh, honestly, the rioters are the only ones getting the press. You don't see a lot of peaceful protests on the news anymore, which is, again, why if I were one of these peaceful protesters, I would want to be on the front lines of telling the rioters to get the heck out of here. If I were one of these peaceful protesters, if I was somebody out there who had, who wanted to get a voice and a platform and a spotlight to say, you know what, there are some people who live in this world with a different experience than others. I would want to be the first person to say to these rioters, stop taking our spotlight. Stop acting like you're part of us. You're not. You're ruining our message. I'm waiting to see that. But here's the other thing that I want people to understand right now. There is a clear characterization of people who support this president. There is a clear reputation that somebody who might put a Trump sign in their yard, or maybe have a Trump bumper sticker, although nobody's bold enough to do that because you're afraid you're going to get your car keyed, or a MAGA hat. People who are wearing those MAGA hats, it's like, you know, something about them. Like, they're so bold that they would even, you know, I know there are people who support President Trump, but that guy wearing the MAGA hat, he's trying to provoke you. That's the understanding, that you don't wear a MAGA hat unless you're kind of trying to start some trouble, right? Because who would be so bold as to come out and put that Trump support right in anybody's face without like any shame. Here's the deal, folks. When you're sitting at the table with your friend or your family member or a coworker, and the idea of this political world that we live in, which honestly is so detrimental to any type of progress, whether it's progressive or conservative progress, the way we fight with one another. In that conversation that exists between those two people where the person staring at you sees something differently behind you and you see something differently behind them, and the only way that you're going to communicate where you're coming from and what you see is if the other one is willing to listen. You have to be willing to listen first, but you also have to be willing to provide the context of what's happening behind the person you're talking to. You have to be willing to speak up. So many of us are afraid to speak up. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. So am I. I have this platform here from noon to 3, but you know, in some cases, this is actually kind of a very gigantic safe space for me. The way I speak to you on this show, when you come on and you listen to the Annie Fry Show, you know you're here to get my opinion. That makes me feel like I can give my opinion because it's a handshake agreement between the two of us that when you tune into my radio show, you want to know what I think about things. That doesn't mean you agree with them at all, but you want to know how I feel, how I think about things, and then you take it and do with it what you will. But I will be honest with you, in my circle, it's a little bit of a different circumstance than you might be in, but I want to tell you I understand how you feel. That when I go to a party or a family gathering or, you know, any type of social situation, big or small, politics is the last thing that I want to talk about. Because I don't want to lose friends. I don't want to lose more family members over the idea that I support a politician for a public office. We have to be the people who start being comfortable sharing a perspective just to say, this is what I see going on behind you. This is what I see in the world that maybe you haven't been able to see yet. And when they say, but I want to tell you what's going on behind your back or that you can't see, you have to listen. The other side of the aisle, at least the other side when I'm talking about my politics, the other side of the aisle is not listening right now at all. They are shouting. They are judging. They are screaming at you. And until they come out and fully renounce the actions of these rioters, I was seeing some stuff that was going on in Rochester, New York. Oh my gosh, what in the world is going on there? I mean, that is so frightening to see. Somebody has to stand up and say no more. And it should be as bipartisan as anything that exists in this country right now. Let's be the party of first listeners and second of perspective empathy, where we listen with willingness to understand that you're not necessarily going to agree with the other person at the end of this conversation. But when you explain to people who you are, why you believe what you believe, and why it's important to you, you might give them the very first chance that they've ever had to listen to somebody who's not ashamed to speak up, afraid to speak up. And when they see that you're the type of person who they've known, they have a good relationship with, you've opened up this conversation or they've opened it up and you didn't slam the door shut on it super fast. Maybe you'll give them their first dose of, well, you know, Brian's a Trump supporter and he's a really nice guy. I don't think he's a hateful, racist, bigot, misogynist person. And I think that if he could be that, am I possibly misjudging other people? When you open up that perspective for people to just see, you let them make the decision, you might start to make an impact. So sit down at the table with your friends, with your family, and be willing to share perspective and be willing to listen to their perspective as well. I think you'll both learn something from one another. And all of this because of this family that was trying to keep their kid quiet. And we're sitting there going, like, you know, this parenting thing is hard, and it's hard without extra circumstances. There are a lot of reasons why we need to just shut up and listen. And when you start by shutting up and listening, oftentimes the door will be open for you to speak. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Katie, are we going to play the sound when we come back?
Yes.
Or? Okay. So if you follow our Facebook feed or on Annie Fry Show Facebook feed, or if you subscribe to the Annie Fry Show podcast, you would have gotten this extra little thing after the show ended Friday, which is the sound from the Madison County Health Department's meeting about the positivity rate that has businesses closed down right now, where you can't go inside and eat, you can't go into bars. It's ridiculous. How do they calculate that positivity rate? It's such a good question that the people at the Madison County Health Department aren't even 100% sure. I'm going to play some of that sound for you when we come back. And then Erica Harris, who is the county board member who is asking the questions at this board meeting, is going to come on with us at 12:40 and tell us what kind of digging she's done, if she's found any answers yet, and where she's headed. Really interesting stuff coming forward. So stick around. You're listening to The Annie Fry Show.
Way over town, that's good to me.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Hey guys, Glover here. If you are nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the DGS.
Selecting a financial advisor is one of the most important decisions you will make heading into retirement. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money every Saturday morning at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Choosing a financial advisor is a critical step in planning for your retirement. You want to find an advisor you can trust is working in your best interest with the experience to do the job well. Providing guidance solely in your best interest is foundational to our team's approach. And with over 90 years of combined experience, you can have confidence we have the depth of knowledge to help you navigate important financial decisions. If you're retiring in the next 5 years or need a second opinion on your current plan, contact us today for a free consultation. To schedule your free retirement planning consultation, contact us at bobstockdale.com. That's bobstockdale.com. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
It's one thing to be stuck in your house due to COVID-19. It's another thing to be stuck with a house. We have good news for homeowners listening throughout St. Louis. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis is still buying houses. More importantly, we offer sellers a completely virtual selling process that maintains social distancing standards. Sell your home now. Call Chris today and get a cash offer in just 7 minutes. Call 314-782-7000. Can't collect rent? Not a problem. We buy My Tenant Won't Pay Me the Rent houses as well as vacant houses. We buy houses as is and deal with any situation. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call Chris today and get your house sold. 314-782-7000. That's 314-782-7000. 314-782-7000.
Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm here in St. Louis. I've been warning our clients that IRS employees are back at work since mid-July, and their collection efforts have ramped up. Well, sure enough, it looks like it's happening. So if you have unfiled tax returns, wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, now's the time to call the Lance Drury Law Firm before the IRS calls you. Tax resolution plans are based off your current income. So if your current income is less than normal due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this is precisely the time for the Lance Drury Law Firm to help you. Your consultation is free, so don't put it off. The Lance Drury Law Firm focuses solely on tax resolution law. It's all we do. And if you have IRS problems, you have legal problems. Let us use our tax law resolution experience to guide you and work on your custom resolution plan. Call now. It's free and confidential. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to Lance, DRURY law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
The Annie Fry Show.
I've been listening to you guys a lot lately in the last few months. It's refreshing to get a little positive shot in the arm.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
It's going to help change the state around.
On 97.1 FM Talk.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Thank you for joining us. A lot of people commenting here along on the Facebook live and the YouTube live. Thank you for being here. Always grateful to share that opportunity with you. So Katie and Ryan, did you get a chance to listen to the audio from the Madison County Health Department meeting?
I did.
No. Katie did, right?
I did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's so unbelievable.
It's
I was
shocking.
tipped off to this last Friday, kind of during the show, but it was too hairy for me to like dip into in the middle of a Friday show and give it to you full. But this is what you're listening to. And the number one thing that I want you to understand when you're listening to this and keep in mind is that what the Madison County Health Department is doing is based on state guidance. So if your eagerness is to like want to take pitchforks to the Madison County Health Department, you need to not do that. But it is important to ask questions because they're getting their guidance. As far as I understand, their guidance, their numbers, their process from the state, which is from J.B. Pritzker. So please keep that in mind when you're listening to this. Although, while Region 4, which is the Madison County region, is closed down in it's almost like phase 2 levels, where you can't go sit down in a restaurant anymore in this area. You can't go sit inside. This is killing businesses. If you are somebody who is just trying to get back up, if you're a server who finally got hired back or came off furlough and you just came back and now the state of Illinois has said, no, you're going to need to pull that back. They're doing it on case positivity rate. They're doing it based on the number of the percentage of positive cases in the region. So I have so many questions, but how do you find a positivity rate? It's the number of positive cases out of total tests taken, you would think, right? Well, that's where this conversation comes in. Listen in, and if you want to join in the conversation while it's going on, we'll probably be commenting a little bit here as we go through. Join us on the Annie Fry YouTube page. You can put us up on your smart TV. You can join in the chat on the YouTube app as well, and also the Annie Fry Show Facebook page. This is the Madison County Health Department, and Erica Harris is the county board member who is asking some of these questions here. Let's listen in.
Excuse me, I have a question, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, piggyback off that, just to make sure I'm perfectly clear here. So if I at my place of business am required Monday, and I am negative, does that count as 3 negatives? Or
it counts as 3 tests.
It counts as, okay, so that does in fact count even though I'm the same person. It does, in fact, count as negatives 3 times?
Yeah, a test is a test. And a case is a case. I mean, I don't know. So, yes.
Okay, here's what I'm getting at, is trying to figure out why our numbers are dropping off on how much we're testing, knowing that a lot of local employers are, in fact, doing routine testing and actually increased testing, but our numbers are common denominator is going down.
It's possible that those employers potentially are using private laboratories that are not electronically hooked up with the Illinois Department of Public Health laboratory. And if those negatives don't have to be reported, positives have to be reported. Okay, so it's possible that we don't necessarily see all the negative tests in there if it's like a private laboratory, like I said, that doesn't necessarily have an electronic feed IDPH.
Okay, and so this would not be a reflection on you, so don't take it that way, but would this not then debunk the whole, this is the percent positives of the testing that we're getting? Because if that's true, if these companies are all using private labs, they're getting all these negatives, but they're just not being reported.
No, I didn't say that. I said it's possible that not all the labs are coming through, but there's a good number of electronic feeds. So I don't know about debunking, and a test is a test, and a positive is a positive, and where we're getting that denominator comes directly out of Illinois Department of Public Health's testing from their ELRs, their electronic lab reports. So the total number of tests, and then we take it that day of the tests that are positive, and that's why we look at 3-day average, 7-day average, 10-day average, because it can fluctuate, from day to day.
Okay, did I understand you correctly though, that some private labs are not sending negatives to the Illinois Department of Public Health?
They're not required to. Some may not be. It just depends on if they're not within the system.
Okay, so if they're not within the system, would that make our percent positive of total tests inaccurate?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think that there's very many that are not being reported through the state system.
But there are some negatives that potentially at private labs are not getting reported. They're reporting the positives, but they're not reporting the negatives.
That could potentially happen, Erica. I don't think it happens as often as you would think it does, but I can try and get you better information on that. I don't know how else to explain it, but
I understand this isn't a Madison County thing, so I hope.
Right. It's a statewide. Yeah.
But I continue hearing stories that would lead up to the potential that that's happening. So I think it would be very beneficial for us as a county to step in and try and discern that, because if they're, if you have these private labs and they're reporting the positives, but they're not reporting the negatives, it doesn't take a math genius to realize that that is going to give you an accurate percent positive, so trying to just rally for truth here. I think it would be fantastic if we could try to seek out some of those answers a little bit more.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. McRae.
I have a question.
That's what I was wondering too. If they're not required to submit negatives, I didn't know that. That would skew the number because we're looking at a relatively small number. We're looking at a percentage of people being tested. And if we're not reporting all the negatives, that should be a requirement. And the other thing too, I understand that, we don't recommend routine testing for positives, but if I was positive for COVID, I think that I would want to know, I may take it upon myself to be retested. And I think a lot of people would do that. I think a lot of
that. Yeah, you can absolutely do that.
Right. And so that's what I mean. So whether or not I go to the same location, I might go to, 2 different spots to make sure that, that I'm negative, because I've got, family members or friends that I don't want to expose it to. And so just because we don't recommend that doesn't mean that's not happening. And I would think that the people who are testing positive may in fact, there may be people being tested that are, I'm just not sure. So they're being tested multiple times. And that's the problem is we have to have, and I hope you have input with these people, because I'm not sure the percent positive is a number that we ought to be looking at, closing down people's businesses and stuff like that, because that's what we're doing. These restaurants it's a tough business anyway. And, but I think the other thing too is all these people getting outpatient surgeries and things like that, or colonoscopies, they all have to be tested, I think. And that number, I'm surprised it's not even more, than what we're, than the numbers of that we're seeing. But I just hope, what I think is, my personal opinion is, we have to look at the hospitalizations and of course the number of deaths, unfortunately. But hospitalizations, I realize, is creeping up a little bit, but it's not alarming, is it?
Was that directed to anybody?
To Tony. Is it? Don't we? If the possibility exists that number one, we are not reporting all the negatives, and number two, the possibility exists that we can be a person can get a test who's positive and be tested positively multiple times. Is this number really a good number to be basing
Shooting people multiple times when they're positive. The mitigation strategy allows for two different scenarios that could cause restrictions being in place. The first scenario talks about looking at hospital admissions, reduction in hospital capacities, and also a sustained increase in 7-day rolling average. Or that's one way that we went into these mitigations, and that didn't happen for us. We did have 7 days rolling averages of a sustained increase in the positivity rate, but within that criteria, while the hospital increases, the sustained 7-day increase in hospitals, some increased, et cetera, it wasn't necessarily for 7 days. The other way that could kick into going into the tiered approach of these strategies is if as a region there were 3 consecutive days averaging greater than or equal to 8% positivity. And that did happen. That happened over 3 weeks ago. And our positivity rate for the region continues to be above 8%. It dropped by 1/10 yesterday if you look at that rolling average. And that is the reason why we're more restrictive. So don't, from that goes. I want to go back and talk about the lab reporting and the numbers, et cetera. I don't feel like I've explained very well, and I'm going to try to do a better job with that. So I'd ask for you to give me an opportunity to clarify from Illinois Department of Public Health and get that to you so that we are all on the same page with that. I don't want you to think that we are counting positives more than once. If you're positive, you're positive, and you're positive only one time. And I will get better clarification regarding the negative test that potentially could or could not affect the denominator. That's the question I think you're asking, Ms. Harris, and I will verify that with the state, and I will follow up with you just as soon as I can.
So that is the Tony Corona. Her last name is actually Corona, through no fault of her own. And she is the Madison County Health Department director. I've met her. She's a very kind person. She is definitely somebody who's going to be working to get to the bottom of this. And Erica Harris, who you just heard, she's a county board member here in Madison County. She's actually my county board member. She is going to join us when we come back to follow up, because that meeting took place last week, I believe Friday. That meeting took place last week. I'm going to ask her, because she's following up on this. She's working to get to, as she said there, how'd she put it? She wanted to be on fire for the truth or something like that, an advocate for the truth, whatever it was. I was like, yeah, that's right. Whatever the truth is, we just want to know it. We don't want to be given one statistic here and the next statistic another day and then find out that maybe those aren't even actually accurate statistics. We're sick and tired of it, and we want our livelihoods back as soon as it's safe. And if it's been safe, get us back to business. Erica Harris, county board member, who was questioning the Madison County Health Director, Health Department Director, with us in just a minute. Don't go anywhere.
I've wasted time, I've wasted breath. I think I've thought myself to death. I was born.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Only this seems clear.
Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating over 50 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
It's the 20th anniversary of 97.1, and we're celebrating 20 years of great Dave Glover Show moments with Michael's Flooring Outlet.
The guy walks up, and I said, I'm going to have pancakes. He goes, we have two sizes. We have the entree and we have the side. I know the difference between big pancakes and little pancakes, yet I feel like I need to give him something. So I do this. I sit back as if a sommelier had just given me the choice between Camus Reserve and Opus One. You know what? Why don't you just pick for me? Swear to God. And then he goes, it's really your call. And so I do this. Just give me the big ones, and if I can't eat them all, I leave what I don't finish. And he just goes, seems like a plan. And he walks off.
Listen. Mike of Michael's Flooring Outlet. Proud to be Dave's first live endorsement and being part of so many sweet memories for the past 20 years. Thank you again, St. Louis and the Dave Glover Show. 97.1. Rock on. Check me out. IGotFloored.com.
So I've noticed a trend, obviously you probably have too, that since we've been inside our houses and our hair salons and barbers have been closed, that men are wearing their hair longer. I absolutely love it. Here's something I want to tell the men out there who have maybe changed their hairstyle since March, when they maybe started to grow their hair because they couldn't get a cut. Go to Hair Saloon and they can give you a hair trim that helps you keep your hair long, but keeps it in shape and keeps it looking nice and healthy and professional. So you can grow your longer hair. You can get it shaped in a way that is complementary to the style that you're going for. And at Hair Saloon, you're going to get a perfect haircut every single time. You're also going to get a complimentary beverage, relaxing shampoo, hot towel and mint. And for, let's see here, veterans, active duty military, first responders, a 25% discount on services every day, all day. They have a classic haircut all the way to their signature stress relief service. The Hair Saloon builds a comfortable and relaxing environment because Hair Saloon believes men deserve better. Hairsaloon.com.
Here's the president of the Illinois Chamber of Commerce, Todd Meisch, talking about the proposed income tax hike amendment on the November state ballot.
Springfield politicians already raised income taxes twice in the last decade. This tax hike amendment would let them increase taxes by billions more whenever they want, and a blank check to spend the money however they want, with no limits and no accountability. It would trigger a huge tax increase on thousands of small business owners and give Illinois the nation's second highest tax rate on large employers. The result would be more closed businesses, more lost jobs, and even more people leaving Illinois. The tax hike amendment is a bad idea at the worst possible time. Please stand with Illinois employers and vote no.
Learn more by visiting notaxhikeamendment.com. Paid for by the Coalition to Stop the Proposed Tax Hike Amendment.
So if you have knee pain, if you have knee arthritis, that joint pain, it's achy, you've been taking pain pills for it, maybe you've gotten steroid shots for it, I want to give you an alternative to that one step that I know you've got in the back of your mind, and that's a potential surgery down the line. No Dr. Ryan Clellan, no Infinite Wellness Center in Glen Carbon, Edwardsville. The website is infinitewc.com, and he can help you. And he's helped so many other people that I see when I go in there. There's just, it's teeming with people just like you who have found an alternative to having to go get that surgery. If this sounds interesting to you, it's regenerative medicine. It can include stem cell therapy if needed. And there's a solution for any budget, including if you mention the Annie Fry Show, you can get 25% off for any listeners by just mentioning Annie, up to $1,000 off care. This is a great way to save money and get yourself taken care of. What do you have to lose? Reach out to Dr. Ryan, get that consultation at no cost to you. InfiniteWC.com.
2019 pricing. That means in just about everything you do, the price goes up a little bit the next year. Things cost more. This year, Darren at Rhino Shield is holding his prices to last year's levels because he knows people are dealing with different issues during this whole pandemic. If you were thinking about getting the outside of your house painted, don't. Get it Rhino Shield. Have a Rhino Shield put on the outside of it. This is this exterior ceramic coating. So don't wait. Get on the list now, right? Get it done while the getting is good, and you don't have to worry about the outside of your house or your business or your condo or your church. Go to 877-25rhino.com. Darren's got a lot of pictures, before and after pictures of the hundreds and hundreds of properties in the greater St. Louis area that he's gone out and put this outstanding product on. You'll be glad you did, and then you get a 25-year warranty. 877-25rhino or 877-25rhino.com.
97.1 FM Talk, keeping you plugged in while wireless. Download the radio.com app for your phone or listen by smart speaker. Hey Alexa, hey Siri, play 97.1 FM Talk.
How much of my mother has my mother left in me? How much of my love will be insane to some degree? And what about this feeling that I'm never good enough? Will it wash out in the water, or is it always in the blood?
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Thank you for joining us today. Just want to encourage you to, if you missed some of that audio that we were just playing for the last segment from the county board members talking with the Madison County Health Department about the positivity rate, the case positivity rate that has Region 4 in the state of Illinois pretty much shut down again for the most part. You can't eat inside. A lot of people's businesses having to revert back to a more closed fashion. We have all, if you go to the Annie Fry Show on Facebook right now, we have posted the full audio, even more than what we played for you in this past segment. It's all there, and you can listen to it. You can also share it. You can also go to the Madison County Health Department's website, I believe, and listen to the full meeting. This part started about 20 minutes into that meeting. So I heard this meeting, and I wanted to talk to the woman who you listened to leading this line of questioning and really being an advocate for truth regarding what in the world is going on here. How are we calculating these positive or the positivity rate? And that is Erica Harris, and she is a county board member for I believe, District 26. Erica, is that correct?
That's correct. Hi, Annie.
Hello. Thank you for coming on with us. Thank you for being willing to ask these questions, because I think that one thing that a lot of people are wondering right now is like, where does the buck stop? And you even mentioned in your questioning with her that you understand she's following, the Madison County Health Department is following state guidelines. Just tell us a little bit before we ask you what you found out since that meeting, what it was like to find that information out and ask those questions last week.
Sure, Annie. Well, I'll tell you, something that led to that line of questioning is the fact that we are, as you know, in this region now closed down because of our positivity rate. There is a weakness in judging based on positivity rate anyway, right? The sample is completely self-selecting. The sick are more likely to get tested than the general population. Now, on top of that, I have received some phone calls from people that live in our district, actually, who said, hey, I work for this company and we're testing 100 people a week. Are those tests all going in? And I had someone else who had almost 500 tests they were doing a week, and they were concerned based on looking at our numbers that we were testing on a daily basis, that perhaps, in fact, those numbers were not all being counted. So that's what led us to really start asking more questions. And like you said, I think Tony Corona does a great job and is working to get some answers for us here on that. But like you said, we are shutting our economy down. We have problems with mental health issues going up, abuse going up, drug use, obesity. Kids are out of school. So it's super important we get this right. And if we have labs that, in fact, are not including those negative numbers, but including positive numbers, clearly that number would be inaccurate. And I think it does not take a massive genius to realize that would be shutting down our area for something that is completely inaccurate. Cause for alarm.
Erica, what can the Madison County, I guess, Health Board or County Board do to, if we find out that this is true, that private labs are not reporting negative tests, can the Madison County Board decide to not use that as the criteria? Or is it, well, that's what the governor's doing, so that's what we have to do?
Well, to be clear, the Madison County Board is not the group that said we are shutting down over this. The Madison County Board actually back in, I believe, March, voted to declare all businesses essential and all churches to be essential also. And after that happened, we heard some threats from the state that if places opened, their licenses could be in jeopardy. So at that point, we did reach out to some of our local congressmen who wrote a letter to Washington and sent it really basically pleading, saying, hey, we need some help here because our governor is going to be holding these licenses hostage. So to be clear, the Madison County Board is not the group that had made these decisions on closing based on positivity rate.
Yeah, I think that it's very important to understand, even the way that the governor has implemented this whole plan. He uses words like, if this, and this, it will trigger that, and that, which to me is a very passive way of him still manipulating and controlling what is going on in these areas that he's not really paying any attention to. This Southern Illinois, he does not seem to have a big affinity for coming down here and talking to us and asking us how we feel about these particular things. And then when you find out that the case positivity rate, I mean, everybody knows that that's a ridiculous statistic for people for these decisions to go off of. And when you hear the governor say that if this number is triggered, there's no common sense that is, injected into these kinds of decisions. It's just a statistic. And then we find out that these statistics may not even be accurate. We're speaking right now with Erica Harris. She is the District 26 Madison County board member who is asking those questions that you heard from that Madison County Health Department board meeting. That you can hear in full on the Annie Fry Show Facebook page if you go there. Erica, since that meeting, I'd imagine, the director seemed as though she was very eager to get to the bottom of some of these questions for you. What information has been brought to light since, if any, you had that meeting last week?
Sure. So I actually did speak with someone this morning from the Illinois Department of Public Health who was able to answer some questions, at very high level though, and has given me further information to our email address to send further information to. They assured me they have a data integrity team that goes through the Illinois Department of Public Health. They said that smaller labs are faxing the results in, and we shouldn't be missing any labs because those are faxed in. They don't go in through the portal, and that anyone tested anywhere in the county is counted on Madison County. When I asked him what could maybe be a reason for what looks like potentially missing numbers, he said, if someone works, let's just say that people are living in Jersey or St. Clair County, but working in Madison County, those results are going to go back to the county of their residence. So that could be a possible reason for why some of these numbers are off. Clearly, we need to keep trying to get a little bit more information here, but definitely is something that the Madison County Health Department Director and the county board will be looking further into just to make sure.
Madison County board member of District 26, Erica Harris, on with us right now. I don't have much time left here, Erica, but I'm curious, what's the outlook now for Region 4, and how has the county board been advocating either side to open up or to stay shut down? I mean, what's at stake here with these numbers keeping businesses closed? Is there concern for alarm right now?
Well, I don't think the stance of the Madison County Board has changed since they voted to reopen the county safely several months back. We did in that resolution say we would circle back and we could rescind parts of it if it seemed like our numbers were in jeopardy. We do have a health advisory board that advises us in addition to, of course, the health department. And we haven't found the need to do that yet. Our hospitals locally have not been in any kind of jeopardy of becoming overrun or anything. In fact, we're kind of seeing the opposite in many cases.
Okay. Well, Erica, we appreciate your time here today, and we would like to follow up with you as soon as you get some more, formative information that you can provide to us about what they have discovered. And if this positivity rate isn't completely accurate, I know there's a lot of business owners and employees here in Region 4 that would really like to get back to work. So please reach out to me and the show as soon as you have more information. We'll get you right back on here.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Erica, so much. That's Erica Harris, the Madison County board member here in District 24, advocating for the truth. Ryan, real quick before we get to a break, I mean, you're here in Region 4 as well. How's this all make you feel?
I mean, hearing that, the fact that there could be negative tests that are not being reported, I'm so angry on behalf of so many business owners and schools and everybody who's had to bend over backwards trying to make life work under arbitrary numbers. Even if we find out that all of these negative tests are being reported, it's still an arbitrary number that they're using to make these decisions. It's driving me nuts.
And here's the question that this all culminates to for me. For what? Is this to slow the spread? Or is this something else? And I don't, at this point in time, believe that it's just to slow the spread. I think that the slow the spread idea is good cover. And I'll tell you, on where we went on this weekend was a state that was pretty much open, as many of you listening to the show can kind of embrace. These people are doing just fine. And I'm looking around, eating in these restaurants going, if I were home, I couldn't even be doing this. For what? It's a real question I want to ask Marc Cox when we come back. Stick around. Don't go anywhere.
What if you could build a six-figure retirement income in just 5 payments? You heard right. In just 5 payments, set up a 6-figure retirement cash flow for as long as you live. There's a retirement crisis in America because the pension system of old has been raided and destroyed, and Social Security is already running out of money. Most Americans are shocked to find out they need over $2.5 million to have $100,000 in retirement. A new approach is required to solve this crisis. That's why this revolutionary 5-pay retirement program was released, allowing everyday Americans to use bank money to create a retirement cash flow without relying on Social Security or pensions. Even people who are on track have shifted money to this new strategy because it accelerates the amount they'll have at retirement or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you're over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement in just 5 payments, call Wealth Education Group now at 1-800-283-9595 to see if you qualify for this brand new program. Plus, as a free bonus, you'll get the 5-pay retirement guide and video. Call 800-283-9595. 1-800-283-9595. That's 1-800-283-9595.
Did you know if you're 59 and a half or older that you can now roll over your 401k tax-free to an IRA and protect your nest egg from the next market downturn? Well, Thomas Helbig knows that. He's with the Retirement Advisory Group, and he's also with so many Annie Fry Show listeners who have already called and set up that free consultation with him to get themselves prepared for retirement. He has been doing this for 33 years. And you know, the number one mistake most retirees and pre-retirees are making in their retirement accounts, do you know about hidden fees inside your mutual funds and 401ks? Do you know about the best strategy to shift from accumulation to income and preservation of assets? Thomas Helbig does, and he wants to give you that information to get you going into retirement exactly as you intended. For a free retirement review, call Thomas Helbig of the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. That's 314-993-9494. You can visit him online at retirementkey.com. Just for coming in, you'll get a copy of his best-selling book, The Boomer's Guide to a Worry-Free Retirement. Call now to meet with the official financial advisor of the Annie Fry Show. That's Thomas Helbig. 314-993-9494, retirementkey.com.
With spending more time at home, you may be noticing the scuffs and faded colors on your walls, or the cracked, peeling paint on the outside of your home. Let the pros at CertaPro Painters take care of that project you've been putting off. You can trust CertaPro Painters to get the job done right and safely. Plus, each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. They're a local business you can support. Schedule your free remote or on-site estimate today at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
No matter where you're headed, you can take 97.1 with you. 97.1 FM Talk. Download the podcast of your favorite show or stream the station live at 971talk.com and at radio.com. KFTK FM Florissant, K254CR St. Louis, driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk, a radio.com station. You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook, The Annie Fry Show.
A renewed search for common ground, I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. But the latest attempt at a coronavirus relief bill might be doomed. Fox's Jared Halpern with this live.
Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell will move ahead on a targeted coronavirus relief bill this week as negotiations remain stalled between the White House and Democratic leaders. McConnell says the proposal will focus on urgent health care needs, education, and economic issues. Details on the size and scope have yet to be released, but won't match a comprehensive bill approved by the House in May. In a joint statement, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and top Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer say Republicans appear dead set on another bill which doesn't come close to addressing problems and is headed nowhere. Lisa.
Jared, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo accusing the president of trying to kill New York City with funding issues. This after the president accused New York officials of destroying the city with continued shutdowns he says are politically motivated. Meantime, Governor Cuomo also warning colleges with more than 100 COVID cases might have to switch to remote learning to to avoid larger outbreaks. The president's been accused recently of encouraging people to vote twice, which he denies. It apparently happened earlier this summer in one state.
A review of statewide voting in Georgia with an increased number of ballots sent in the mail has unveiled possible voting fraud.
In both June's merged primary and August runoff, we have found potentially 1,000 cases of double voting here in Georgia.
Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger says investigations are underway, but believes it's difficult to accidentally vote by mail, then show up at a polling place to do it in person.
We know one person was bragging about it down in Long County, and we'll be investigating.
Voting more than once is a felony, mandating prison time. Eben Brown, Fox News.
Election officials say the first vote by absentee wasn't caught in time to prevent the second vote in person from being tallied. America is listening to Fox News.
This is a special end-of-summer announcement from Dell. At our Labor Day sale, small businesses can save up to 50% on select business computers with Intel Core processors. We're committed to taking your business to the next level. Give our small business technology advisors a call. They'll identify the right tech solution for your business with Labor Day savings. Visit Dell.com/business deals or call us at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
So who is your wireless provider? AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile? The average person is saving $400 a year by switching to Pure Talk USA. Pure Talk is on the same network, same towers, just 50% off in terms of price. Right now, get unlimited talk, text, and 2 gigs of data for just $20 a month. Switch to Pure Talk today. Now, from your cell phone, dial pound 250 and say Pure Radio. That's pound 250, Pure Radio. Pure Talk USA, simply smarter wireless.
Air Comfort Service heating and cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Still on the warm to hot side this afternoon, looking for a high close to 90 degrees, partly sunny skies, just a slight chance of a spot late day thunderstorm. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, 80s this evening, 65 for the overnight low. Wednesday, partly sunny, 88 degrees. A cool front is going to be struggling to get through the St. Louis area, but will knock our temperatures back a little bit Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Window World. Congratulations to the guys. They have the highest rating possible with the Better Business Bureau. Only one of 2 window replacement companies in the country that have the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. They have the lowest prices. They have the best possible terms. They have replacement windows that are just built like tanks. One of their little deals that they do, of course, they always bring it out to your home or place of business so you can see and feel the window. They encourage you to stand on them just to prove how great and durable that they are. They have the best guarantee and warranty in the business. If anything goes wrong, they replace it, no questions asked. Call them at 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. 314-993-1800, windowworld.com.
LakesideRenovationandDesign.com is the website. If you're looking to transform the area in your home or the area on the outside of your home, Lakeside is the place to go. And they have a wonderful 18 months interest-free financing option for you. So if you want to get this project done, maybe before Christmas starts, or if you, depending on if it's inside or outside, you've been putting it off for some time, how about now? They have the very best staff that is available there, the experts. One thing that when I was talking to Lakeside, the folks there, the owners there, he's so proud of the people who he has working for them. A lot of places who do business like this have a really high turnover rate. He doesn't. He has people who have been working for him for years and years and years and years because they love the way Lakeside does business and they do a really fantastic job. They offer a lifetime workmanship warranty on top of each of their manufacturer's warranty, and you can be a part of the satisfied customers coming out of Lakeside Renovation and Design for multiple decades. Reach out to them for your next project, inside or out, at lakesidrenovationanddesign.com.
Right now at Diamonds Direct, pick any piece of beautiful jewelry, get the best price, pay nothing down, and spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. It's the easiest and smartest way to buy. 5 years, 0 interest financing, and everything's included. From all engagement rings to all bands, bracelets, earrings, and pendants. Don't miss this encore offer for 2020. You can even finance the sales tax. 5 years, 0 interest. Now for a limited time at Diamonds Direct. Approved credit. Get store hours, directions, and details now at diamondsdirect.com.
Your energy needs are changing. That's why Ameren Missouri isn't waiting on the future. We're building it with a smart energy plan, advancing thousands of projects across the state. Here in St. Louis, we're adding new clean energy sources and installing new composite poles to better withstand storms. Moving Missouri closer to a future of energy centered around you. That's energy at work. Learn more at amerenmissouri.com/plan.
Here's a great review of Upkeep Home Warranty and Maintenance from Terry. He says, we've had only the best experiences with Upkeep Home Warranty and Maintenance. The service people are always friendly, courteous, reliable, completely knowledgeable, and very professional. As retired people, we have the peace of mind and confidence that our entire home is being well looked after, and we've discovered that if anything goes wrong, Upkeep is there, sometimes within hours. There you have it, folks. When you sign up with Upkeep Home Warranty and Maintenance, you're not just getting a home warranty. You're getting their team of technicians who come out to your home 4 times a year to make sure everything is running smoothly and to make things easier on you. And like Terry said, if there's an issue, they are going to fix it so quickly because they already have a handle on the situation. You've forged this relationship over time, and you can trust your home to Upkeep Home Warranty and Maintenance. Code DGS gets you $100 off at upkeepstl.com.
It's that time of year again, where an afternoon thunderstorm can pop out of nowhere, bringing damaging winds and power outages. At Spire, we know life doesn't stop just because the power did. Thankfully, you can depend on natural gas water heaters and stoves no matter how long the power is out. And right now, choose a natural gas water heater and get up to a $300 rebate at spireenergy.com/rebates. Now that's fuel for good.
You can listen to 97.1 FM Talk online anytime. Just go to 971talk.com, where you can listen live and even rewind. Or download the app for your phone at radio.com. The Annie Fry Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Putting partisan politics aside, honestly, whether you're a Keynesian or a Democratic Keynesian or demand sider, or a Republican Reagan supply sider, or Trump supply sider like me, who would raise taxes coming out of a deep pandemic contraction? Why? You raise taxes. Where are the good Keynesians? Now that you should be cutting taxes to put more money in people's pockets and more money in businesses. Why in the world would people want to raise taxes now and pick the pocket of taxpayers who are returning to work in droves?
So there you have one of the top advisors to the president, financial aid, Larry Kudlow, talking about the distinction between the choice you have to make in November. Joe Biden's plan is to raise taxes, and he's proud of it. He's so proud of it that he brags about it. And then when he gets asked in a church about his tax plan, he says he can't talk about it because, quote, they would shoot me. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like it's in his best interest not to talk about it. It's probably also be in America's best interest for him not to talk about raising taxes on an economy that is very, very feeble and on the recovery, but you could break it pretty easily right now because there's a lot at stake. It's what we're talking about with Region 4 in Madison County, where we're asking, what's the positivity rate here? Oh, we're not necessarily counting all negative tests, or are we? We're not sure. I would really like to know. If we're going to squash businesses right now, in places like Illinois or in California or in New York City, we've got this recovery, this economic recovery headed very much so in the right direction. But at the same time, in the biggest states, the biggest cities, which all happen to be mostly blue, we're not all the way back. Just imagine if we were. Joe Biden, Donald Trump, two very distinct plans in November. Somebody who you can always rely on to have an opinion about this is Marc Cox of the Marc Cox Morning Show.
It's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. We can't stop. It's too dangerous.
I'm the best there is at what I do.
And that's the bottom line.
Mark, I got to ask you, when Larry Kudlow says who in their right mind would talk about raising taxes right now, and the answer is Joe Biden. Do you think this is a platform he's going to be able to sustain and stand by as he moves closer to the election?
Come on, man. That's not a fair question, Annie.
It is a fair question.
It is. No, Joe Biden he's still got to appeal to that hard left crowd out there who doesn't think you deserve the paycheck you take home at the end of every week. Doesn't matter how hard you worked. They bought lock, stock, and barrel into the fact that you need to pool your resources, and the government can better spend your money than you do. That's one thing that's been consistent in the Democratic Party the last 70 years. But Biden is not. Not only is he pushing for a tax increase, he'll lie about it when you ask him about it. And Americans for Tax Reform pointed out his hypocrisy on this because he claimed if you make less than $400,000 a year, you won't pay more under a Joe Biden presidency. Except for all of us who got a tax cut under President Trump, he would immediately reverse that tax cut. He claims on his first day in office, although he technically couldn't do that. But heaven forbid he takes back the White House and the Senate, and he's got a Democratic majority in the House. That will also happen in his first 100 days. I mean, that's at least a $2,000 or $3,000 tax increase on every American that saw relief under the president's plan.
Mark, honestly, is there anything that that you can think of that the Democrats want to do that doesn't involve spending more money aside from defunding the police?
I was just going to say defunding the police, but you took it out of my mouth.
I can't think of a single platform that they're running on that doesn't involve just spending money.
Well, they're not going to. Yeah, they're going to defund the police, but they're going to keep spending the same amount of money. They're just going to spend it differently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. No, I can't think of anything, Ryan. That's a really good. I mean, it's a good point. At the end of the day, you've got to really. I was having this conversation this morning with Denise and Trisha on my show. I went out to dinner over the long weekend with some good friends, and the lady that we were having dinner with is completely an anti-Trumper, except for the fact that she couldn't imagine voting for Joe Biden, which presents an interesting dilemma. She doesn't like the way he tweets. She doesn't like the way he talks. She doesn't like the way he presents himself. And, a lot of people, including me, have seen some tweets that I have not been extraordinarily happy about the way they were, that the president puts those out on occasion. Sometimes I think it's a self-inflicted damage that you don't need. And that's kind of the key to between now and election time. He's got to avoid those unforced errors and focus on the difference in policy between he and Joe Biden. The tax policy, the trade policy, the foreign relations policy differences. If he doesn't make that crystal clear, this is going to be a razor thin margin in November anyway, and he can't afford to alienate people like my friend who I'm talking about.
Isn't it interesting to think that, with the stark comparison of Donald Trump and Joe Biden, that the people, and I know individuals like this too, and I often feel the same compulsion to do what you just did there, which is be like, well, I don't like all his tweets either, because you don't want to have to like get it pinned on you, everything that he says that you're defending, so you try to disclaim that. I do the same thing too. But when you say like the thing I don't like about Donald Trump is the way he tweets things, that must mean he's doing a pretty good job when you consider that he's the president. You could be talking about any number of policies. If you were somebody who didn't like Barack Obama's administration, you didn't talk about his demeanor first. You could list off an array of policies that he, stood for, and his fundamental transformation of the United States of America through, universal health care and wanting to expand the access to undocumented immigrants that exist all over this country and welcoming people and diminish. Like, there's so many policies that used to be stated in conjunction, and some ignorant things that other people would say too, for sure. But the majority of criticism for Donald Trump is he makes people feel bad sometimes. The rest of his job, he's doing a pretty darn good job as the president of the United States. I wish more people would be able to be less hurt. You know what I'm saying? By the words that he says that aren't directed towards him. They're directed towards people who are attacking him on every front, sun up to sundown every day.
Well, when's the last time you heard about immigration? I mean, I know it was brought up a little bit during the DNC convention. These are all, every single one of those cases you go down, Andy, if you look at it, the president had policies that probably there was room for common ground with Democrats. When you tried to fix the Dreamer problem,
Mark, I
Nancy
remember
Pelosi wouldn't play ball.
When I was coming on your show middays, and they were talking about this, and I remember being significantly more relaxed with that particular issue than you were, certainly at the time. Even in the primary, as a Marco Rubio supporter myself, he was part of the Gang of Eight, which was probably one of the reasons he didn't get further down the line in the primaries than he did, although he got pretty far. But the Gang of Eight, like that was a very, very huge compromise for conservatives, too much so for conservative voters. Whereas the progressives like Dick Durbin and Chuck Schumer, who led that part of the Gang of Eight, they wouldn't even support the plan that they put forward there that Republicans would have felt was way too leftist. It's not progressive enough right now for the Democrats who are in Washington, D.C.
No, that's a good point. And again, we're in the home stretch here. I mean, I don't. COVID has been such an odd summer that I don't think people really grasp the fact that we're 60 days out from a United States general election. This has been traditionally the time when people would start to get a little more hyper focused on what some of the issues are, and we're debating how the president of the United States uses Twitter. So I hope that what we've seen the last 5 days with Joe Biden's campaign is a good example of how he's going to run it for the rest of the time. Because if he does, Donald Trump should be able to take advantage of that. Kamala Harris's trip to Kenosha, I think, if you watched it, there was just nothing. Where's she been? I mean, this has been one of the worst VP rollouts I can remember in history, and the Democrats had a lot of fun with Sarah Palin, but where in the world has Kamala Harris been until she went to Wisconsin the other day?
Yeah, I think you're right, Mark. It seems as if the Democrats really are focusing, instead of talking about issues, they are focusing on the man and his personality quirks and the things that, kind of are off-putting about him to most people, instead of talking about issues. My question for you is, how does Trump respond to that? Because Trump seems like he's going to be Trump regardless. Should he kind of back off of what he normally does between now and Election Day? Or do you think something natural like the debates are going to just work in his favor to bring the issue back to issues?
Yeah, orange man bad. That seems to be the way they're running their campaign so far. Ryan, how many times in the last 3.5 years have I had to have a conversation with someone? Well, I just wish he'd do this differently. I just wish he would do that differently. I don't think any of his advisors, including Kellyanne Conway, have ever had any luck convincing him to stop running business the way that he does. If the debates go off as planned, and right now I don't know that there's any guarantee of that, but if the debates go off as planned, America is going to see the stark difference. There's an article out today from I believe a stenographer who worked for Joe Biden when he was vice president, worked in his office, pointing out the differences he sees between the Biden he knew even 4 years ago and the one he's seeing on the campaign trail right now. The president's going to be able to take advantage of that difference. Did you see the clip from this weekend where he was trying to answer a question remotely? It was clearly a staged question because you can hear the individual reading it. And Joe Biden's response is he hesitates, and then he has to tell his staff to raise the teleprompter up so he can see it. Yeah. The answer to the question was clearly pre-typed and loaded into the teleprompter for him. And without that help, he couldn't pull it off.
Yeah. It's hard to watch, but the stakes are high, and this is who the Democrats chose, and we need to make sure that we protect America in the process. And we'll do that by tuning into the Marc Cox Morning Show each day, 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. Thanks so much for coming on with us, Mark. We always look forward to talking with you.
Annie, Ryan, thanks very much. Talk to you soon.
Yep, you as well. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to speak with the Illinois State House Minority Leader, Jim Durkin. Did you know that Mike Madigan is in a little more bit of trouble here? He's not charged with anything yet, but there is a House investigation that is going to begin on the Speaker of the House. And if you want to know more about it, you need to not go anywhere right now. And if you know other people who are interested to see if Mike Madigan is going to get his due, you need to tell them to tune into the Annie Fry Show right now, because when we come back, we're going to speak with the Illinois State House Minority Leader, Jim Durkin, and he's going to explain to us what's going to start happening this Thursday as they look into the goings-on, the corruption that exists swirling around Mike Madigan. Has it gotten to him yet? We're going to ask Jim Durkin when we return. Don't go anywhere.
Well, she wants to You're listening to the Annie Fry Show.
And she thinks about
Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
She screams, I really want to be the queen.
Hey guys, Glover here. If you are nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the DGS.
Attention St. Louis homeowners. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis is looking to buy additional 5 houses in the next few weeks. We can pay cash and close in as little as 5 days. We buy houses in any condition, any location, and any situation throughout the St. Louis metro. Call today, 314-782-7000, or go to our website, www.chrisbuysHomesSTL.com. That's chrisbuysHomesSTL.com. Just go there, fill out your information, and we'll reach out to you. We buy houses and apartment buildings. Call us today to get an offer, 314-782-7000. That's 314-782-7000. Or go online to www.chrisbuysHomesSTL.com. The process takes just 7 minutes to get a completely free, no-obligation cash offer for your property. Call Chris now, 314-782-7000. That's 314-782-7000. 314-782-7000.
If you're looking to build a home in the Metro East area, you need to know about C.A. Jones. You can find him online at cajonesinc.com. And here's the number if you want to give him a call or a text, 618-777-6080. That's 618-777-6080. Ask him about the Easy Buy program. With the C.A. Jones Easy Buy program, there's no 20% down, no interest payments while your home is being built, or any of those headaches that come along with a traditional construction loan. C.A. Jones can take care of it all for you. It's really that simple, and it's how they do their business. The customer-centered atmosphere at C.A. Jones is so wonderful. It's so great. And I can tell you from personal experience of walking through at least 3 C.A. Jones homes myself, they are beautiful, beautiful homes with wonderful finishes and really a lot of options as well as to how you want to finish the home. And they've talked to me before about how they help buyers. If they really, really want to have one thing, they'll help move and manipulate the different finishes in the house to make sure that you can get what you want and you're a fully satisfied customer at the end, and they'll work within your budget as much as possible. Call or text 618-777-6080. That's 618-777-6080, or visit them online at cajonesinc.com.
If you've listened to 97.1 FM Talk, you have heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple on the station as the financial expert for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend on 97.1 FM Talk, and in case you miss any of those shows, on his podcast on radio.com. That's radio.com, and search Safe Money 97.1. So call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DH Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Is your roof full of ugly algae black stains? Just one roof restore treatment from Frederick Roofing, and you've got a clean, beautiful-looking roof for a small investment. If it has anything to do with roofing, you need to call Frederick Roofing at 645-2000. 645-2000.
Frederick Roofing, 645-2000.
What is it that's made Frederick Roofing the #1 choice for more than 80,000 St. Louis roofing customers? Is it Frederick's passion for customer satisfaction? Is it Frederick's own expert, licensed, and insured crews? Is it Frederick's ability to always provide an immaculate cleanup when the job is complete? It's all of those things and more. Frederick Roofing, the smart call to make for your commercial and or residential roof.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof. Frederick Roofing. Frederick Roofing, 645-2000. Frederick Roofing, 645-2000.
With all the uncertainty in the world today, our mental wellness is being tested like never before. I'm Listening is here to remind you that you are not alone. Each day, we highlight conversations with celebrities, athletes, and mental health professionals who share their experiences to help you manage feelings of anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues. Join us Wednesday, September 23rd at 6 p.m. for a 2-hour in-depth discussion as we take the mental health temperature of the nation. For more, visit imlistening.org. Remember, talk has the power to save lives.
The latest local forecast and severe weather coverage you can count on from the name in St. Louis weather.
This is 97.1's Chief Meteorologist, Dave Murray.
On 97.1 FM Talk, powered by Air Comfort Service.
You can run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Go tell that long-tongued liar. Go and tell that midnight rider. Tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter.
Right, House Republicans are calling for a special committee to investigate Speaker Michael Madigan. He has been implicated in a ComEd bribery scam, but has not been charged. Republican leader Jim Durkin says the House must, quote, do its job and conduct a thorough investigation.
So Mike Madigan continues to have controversy surrounding him. It seems as though everywhere he goes, there's corruption nearby. But he's rubber and it's glue and something about it not sticking to him. For whatever reason, Mike Madigan seems to skirt by, but that corruption is always knocking on the door. And Illinoisans are aware of it. You can ask anybody who has any association with Illinois government, and they know how things work. They know the processes. They know that Mike Madigan is the puppet master of all things in the state of Illinois government, what gets voted on, what gets decided. And people are sick of it. But it never really seems to get this close to a federal investigation into ComEd. And now we understand that the Illinois House is going to begin a legislative inquiry into the House Speaker. And I believe it starts this Thursday. We are talking now with Jim Durkin, who is the Illinois House Minority Leader. He is the representative of District 82 in the Illinois State House, and he is here with us on the Annie Frey Show right now. Representative Durkin, thank you so much for the time today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Annie, it's great to be on. It's good to hear your voice, and I'm enjoying my afternoon at Redbud in Randolph County.
Yeah.
And with David Freese, one of our great candidates, but I've got some more time I'm spending with Amy Alec tomorrow, and so I'm really high on our candidates here. But to the point, this Thursday will be the first meeting of the Special Investigative Committee for the House of Representatives, and this one is focusing on Michael Madigan and his involvement and his benefit from the Deferred Prosecution Agreement. That's a criminal case between the U.S. Attorney's Office in Chicago and Commonwealth Edison. What's important to know in this is that, one, this is only the second time in the history of the legislature that this committee has ever been formed. But what's important about this is that what drove me to file the petition, I'm the one who filed the petition requiring this committee to meet, it wasn't just based on allegations. In the past, people have said, well, there's no criminal charges that have been filed, you can't do anything. We've got something better than that. We have admissions of fact by ComEd in which they, a publicly held corporation, the largest utility in the state of Illinois, has admitted to a 9-year bribery scheme involving and benefiting Mike Madigan and his associates. The first casualty of this scheme happened last Friday when a vice president of government affairs, Fidel Marquez, was charged through an information in Chicago. What that means is that is a signal that he's cooperating and he's about to plead guilty. And there's going to be many more to come. So I decided that Mike Madigan's rules, sometimes I don't like them, but the rule which I invoked is one of Mike Madigan's rules, which allows for a special investigative committee to investigate a situation or a member if they have besmirched the integrity of the chamber. And I can't think of any other situation than this where we need to ask questions. And so this Thursday, it will be our first meeting. I believe it'll be organizational, but I would be working very hard to make my case before this committee of why there needs to be discipline taken against Mike Madigan.
What kind of discipline would be invoked here? What's the spectrum of the production of what could come out of this kind of investigation into Speaker Madigan?
Really, two things. One is a censure, which is basically just a tap on the wrist, saying, yep, you've been a bad boy. The other is expulsion. Expulsion from the House of Representatives. I did that 7 years ago with a Democrat out of the west side of Chicago named Derek Smith, where I was involved with trying the case before the General Assembly, and he was expelled. That was a bipartisan move. This one is not quite bipartisan, but there are many Democrats in the House, in the Senate, and also high-ranking officials who have said that a couple of things. Mike Madigan needs to step down as Speaker, and other ones have said he needs to resign. But what also is important is that while I don't agree with the governor on many things, he agrees with me that this committee is important and Mike Madigan needs to explain himself. So, I can't predict how the Democrats are going to act if they want to tank the committee and not consider the evidence. That's their prerogative, but also their peril as well.
We're speaking with Illinois House Minority Leader Jim Durkin. He's a representative in the House. He's the minority leader alongside the majority leader, the Speaker of the House, Mike Madigan. You mentioned some of those Democrats across the state who have called for some sort of repercussions for Mike Madigan's involvement in the corruption scandals that the federal government has gotten involved into. I want to ask you, you mentioned David Freese down here. That's a seat that the Republican minority, which is a super minority, could pick up. We also have right here in the Metro East, Amy Ellick, who you've announced she is running against Democrat Monica Bristow. And we have Lisa Shampoli, who's running against Democrat Katie Stewart. I've reached out to Katie Stewart, who's my representative, and I was told that her support for Mike Madigan, if she were to get reelected as Speaker, is not of importance right now. She doesn't want to get distracted by hypotheticals. We've had other listeners send us correspondence.
Hypothetical? It's not hypothetical. It's exactly. A reality.
And well, we confirmed with other listeners who reached out to her. Katie Stewart is on record. If the Democrat Katie Stewart gets reelected, she will support whomever the Democrats put up for Speaker. You're telling me there's no way it's not Mike Madigan?
Wow, that's pretty rich, as they say. But I think what's important for people to say that they're independent from Mike Madigan, but look at the mail pieces that are being sent out and also whatever ads. And if it says Democrat Party of Illinois, that means Mike Madigan. He's paid for it. It's really fascinating. A lot of these Democrats are running to clean up corruption in Springfield, but their campaign pieces are being paid by Mike Madigan.
Explain that key in on that a little bit, because I think people need to understand where these mail pieces are coming from. How do people find that out?
Look at we call it the indicia. It's up at the top left, or it's the little print on the, whether it's going to be on a television ad or on the mail piece, and look for where it's paid for, who pays for it. And undoubtedly it is paid for by the Democrat Party of Illinois. The Democrat Party of Illinois is chaired by Michael Madigan. He controls the spending. He raises the money for the Democrat Party of Illinois. So when they say that I'm not going to get into hypotheticals about who I'm going to select next January, they're taking his money. They're taking his money to get reelected.
How much money?
I call that disingenuous.
How much money gets spent? Does Mike Madigan allocate to races down here in Southern Illinois?
At least $1 million a piece.
$1 million. And does
$1 million, yeah.
And so Mike Madigan, Chicago Mike Madigan, why does he decide to spend that money down south? Is it cheaper to buy a seat in Southern Illinois for Mike Madigan, like Katie Stewart's and Monica Bristow's seat down here? Is it cheaper for him to buy those seats?
Well, he's got more money than what we can count, but I think, again, he looks at these are seats that have traditionally been Democrat seats. But our polling and watching the trends in the Metro East are moving to Republicans. It's turning red. That's why I'm down here. Mike Madigan's going to have to spend a lot more than $1 million to hold these seats. But people down here understand Republican values more than anybody. I look at these 3 seats as our best opportunities for pickup in the House of Representatives. We have a few in the suburbs, but I feel very strong because we've got great candidates. David ran a tough race against Costello a couple of years ago, Jerry Costello Jr., and gave it everything. Came very close. Amy Ellick and Lisa Champoli, but Amy is an all-star. She already is giving Monica Bristow headaches, and we are going to make sure that we define who Monica Bristow is and who Amy is, and who is willing to come down to make the right decisions and not be bossed around by a power broker who's the subject of a 9-year bribery scheme involving the state's largest utility.
Lisa Champoli is running in the District 112. I have a letter here from Katie Stewart's campaign. Actually, it's directly from Katie Stewart. It's signed by Katie Stewart here. One of the things she says is Lisa Champoli stands with extreme politicians who oppose equal pay for women doing the same jobs as men. That's quite a statement. And I would assume, Minority Leader Jim Durkin, that if she's standing with these extreme politicians, that maybe you're supposed to be one of those extreme politicians. Does the Republican Party in the state of Illinois oppose equal pay for women doing the same jobs as men?
No, we don't oppose that, and we encourage that. They will use procedural votes on different matters. We've supported equal pay. There have been some bills that were really bad that we tried to negotiate with the Democrat sponsors on equal pay. The Democrats refused to work with us. We wanted the equal pay bill to mirror what had happened, what's going on in Massachusetts. We had an opportunity to have an agreement between business, management, and labor on this bill. The Democrats refused on the bill that was passed, but we ended up supporting another version of it. But we're not against that.
So this is a political game?
Deflection. This is part of the deflection that the Democrats do because they can't accept the responsibilities and the utter decimation they've done with the state of Illinois. If they can feel that, they're going to say that the Republicans are bad people and that, they hate women, children, grandparents, senior citizens, the whole bit. We've seen that story before. And they'll play that out and they'll reference that we didn't support, I think at this point, we didn't support the budget this past year because that budget gave a pay raise to politicians in the General Assembly. That budget gave a pension pickup, a sweetener to legislators in the General Assembly. That budget has created a $5 billion hole in our budget. We have a $42 billion spending plan with $37 billion to use. So when we vote against those, we're doing the right thing. But in there are these grand plans to spend millions and hundreds of $millions in different programs, and they'll say that Republicans are mean-spirited because we voted against parents, we voted against low-income families and single mothers because we voted against these ridiculous budgets. That's why we are the lowest rated, we have the lowest credit rating in the United States. It's because of this attitude and this practice.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie. Our economy here in the state of Illinois is hurting. People are leaving, and it's only getting worse under the perpetual Democrat control that this state has been under. Real quick before I let you go, we're speaking with the Illinois House Minority Leader, Representative Jim Durkin. I want to ask you right now to tell listeners if they want to be active, if they want to help, what's a meaningful way that here in Southern Illinois, it seems to me like you and the rest of the Republican Party across the entire state are really counting on us to step up and be a large part of what takes place on November 3rd. What can people do?
I want them to call up either David Freese, who's in Redbud, Amy Ellick, who's right down the street, or Lisa Ciampoli, and say, where can I get your yard sign? Give me a handful of brochures I can pass out. Send letters, emails, and more importantly, do that type of social media, which I'm not real good with. I'm playing that, but that's how you do it. Make sure you get a sign out there. I think that's important. People say signs don't vote, but I tell you what, it gets into your opponent's head really quickly if you see a lot of signs.
Yeah, it sure does. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Annie, thank you.
Watching Thursday. We know that the Southern Illinois Republicans, moderates, independents are sick of the way things are going in the state of Illinois. And this Republican Party has open arms for anybody who wants more fiscally sound tax policy in the state. And that's the party that you're helping lead here. So thank you so much. Great to have you on.
Thanks, Annie. Take care. Bye-bye.
You as well. Jim Durkin, the Illinois House Minority Leader, representative of the District 82 here in the state of Illinois, giving us some time. Great to speak with him. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about some other things. Stick around. We're streaming live on Facebook, facebook.com/Annie Fry Show, on the Annie Fry YouTube page. And if you follow us on Twitter at Annie Fry Show, you can watch us there as well. We're everywhere. Seriously. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
For a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later,
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show.
Sooner or later, gotta cut you down.
Talk lines are open now at 314-241-9797 or 866-455-9797.
Tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter, tell him that God's gonna cut him down.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Get in your comfort zone with 0% financing for 72 months and Carrier Cool Cash rebates on qualifying equipment when you purchase and install a new HVAC system. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, healthcare, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Here's the president of the Illinois Chamber of Commerce, Todd Meisch, talking about the proposed income tax hike amendment on the November state ballot.
Springfield politicians already raised income taxes twice in the last decade. This tax hike amendment would let them increase taxes by billions more whenever they want, and a blank check to spend the money however they want, with no limits and no accountability. It would trigger a huge tax increase on thousands of small business owners and give Illinois the nation's second highest tax rate on large employers. The result would be more closed businesses, more lost jobs, and even more people leaving Illinois. The tax hike amendment is a bad idea at the worst possible time. Please stand with Illinois employers and vote no.
Learn more by visiting notaxhikeamendment.com. Paid for by the Coalition to Stop the Proposed Tax Hike Amendment.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at ThrottleNet.com. So it's crazy time at ThrottleNet. They are IT geniuses, but they are a little bit nutty. Right now, they will pay you $250 for a conversation about your IT support because they value your time during the crazy pandemic. They'll give you the first 30 days for free, no charge for all of their services, and then they'll pay you another $1,000 if you decide to leave in the first 30 days for your trouble. They don't anticipate that you're going to leave, but if you do, they'll shake your hand, they'll put you back where you were, and they'll write you a check for $1,000. It is completely no risk, and they reward you for your time and for your effort. They are the best IT shop in the city, named number 1 5 years straight. They are good guys. Like I said, they are geniuses at protecting you, but they can communicate. They don't stare at their shoes. They look you in the eye and they tell you what you need to know. ThrottleNet.com/971.
2019 pricing. That means in just about everything you do, the price goes up a little bit the next year. Things cost more. This year, Darren at Rhino Shield is holding his prices to last year's levels because he knows people are dealing with different issues during this whole pandemic. If you were thinking about getting the outside of your house painted, don't. Get it Rhino Shield. Have a Rhino Shield put on the outside of it. This is this exterior ceramic coating. So don't wait. Get on the list now, right? Get it done while the getting is good, and you don't have to worry about the outside of your house or your business or your condo or your church. Go to 877-25rhino.com. Darren's got a lot of pictures, before and after pictures of the hundreds and hundreds of properties in the greater St. Louis area that he's gone out and put this outstanding product on. You'll be glad you did, and then you get a 25-year warranty. 877-25rhino or 877-25rhino.com.
The Dave Glover Show.
Honestly, I can't remember the last time on anyone but Fox I heard them say something actually positive. I can't. It doesn't happen.
Weekdays at 3 on 97.1 FM Talk.
You got a smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle. I'm holding you so tight. You know you could have been a handle. The way you swept me off my feet. You know you could have been a blue. And baby, so sweet. You know you could have been some perfume. Well, you could have been anything that you wanted to. I can take it. Alright, the way you do.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Thanks for being here with us today. You know, Katie, this weekend went on a little getaway. And so I didn't unplug the way I normally do. Still was on my phone a little bit. But I go through and I look at these, every once in a while, I look at the clips that Katie puts together and organizes for the show. And I'll see something, I'll be like, what? And then I'll play it mostly because I need to find out what it's about. And it's usually something that Joe Biden said. Like, that can't possibly.
I not only don't want to defund the police, I'm the one calling for $300 million more for local police, for community policing. I also think we should add social workers and psychologists, help police on 911 calls. The only person calling to defund the police is Donald Trump. Look at his budget. He calls for cutting police funding for state and local help by $400 million. Once again, he's pathological.
Speaking of pathological, does anybody fact check Joe Biden? And does anybody, does it matter that we live in a political world where these things can just be floated out into the atmosphere and then they just exist? This is wrong. And it goes back to what we were talking about last week with the idea that the president said that COVID was a hoax. I keep hearing this. I keep hearing that the president didn't take it seriously. Joe Biden said it again today, that he acted as if it wasn't a thing. That's not what he said. Is that how you do the clap thing on Twitter?
That's it. Yep, nailed it.
Is that what you do for small children when
No,
you
you have to
need them to pay attention? Or how you count syllables?
Yes.
No, you have to say, that's how you do it. You're clapping at the same time as the words.
Well, that's how you have to write it, because how do you put
maybe you put them together.
Yeah, right. I'm just reading the script.
That's how you do it. That's how I don't know. I guess you could do either. They could both be effective. The president didn't say COVID wasn't a thing. He was acting on it when everybody else was impeaching him in the Democrat side of the party. He was banning travel from China, even though the WHO said that it wasn't contracted human to human, and they didn't know what they were talking about. He was taking action while nobody was paying attention, and he said that the hoax was the fact that the Democrats said he wasn't doing anything about it. So they planted this entire scheme. It's a scheme, folks. They do this on purpose. They talk, they throw it out there, and they do it in a way that makes sure that when they repeat, they go back. You're like, oh,
Republicans are afraid of that contrast in a race because they're going to go there to be involved in trickle-down economics, shutting down hospitals and the rest of it. So they don't want them to see that contrast, so they focus on something else. And it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident.
Well, in the words of Mel Brooks or Yogurt, merchandising. She said, if you want to talk politics, this is what you do. This is what they've done the entire time to Donald Trump. And then, just like when we were talking to Marc Cox before, the only thing that is consistent from person to person about Donald Trump, even the people who love him, they say this because they want to make sure that they don't get painted as the heinous person that they feel like they likely would. The only thing that people really consistently don't like about him is like, well, I don't like everything that he says because his policies work. I mean, Ryan, aren't you sick and tired of hearing over and over, like every time you hear Joe Biden say, Donald Trump didn't even take this virus seriously, I want to break my TV, which is not good for me in the end.
Well, nobody's going to fact check him because you have to submit your questions to him ahead of time. The amazing thing is that he's still saying these things and it's not off the cuff. It's not like he's going to them because they're easy, because politicians will do that. I mean, we do that. There's things that I will use as a crutch when I don't have anything else to say, like right now. But there are other times when he will say things that are so off the cuff that they're a mess, and then he'll use scripts to say things that are written.
Wait. What do you mean? What do you mean he uses scripts?
And I would like to know, what will your administration do to help them give them that chance? Thank you.
Move it up here. There used to be a basic bargain in this country.
Move it up. Here. And then there's another time where he was standing next to the podium and he needed it to move, and he like has his hand out to his side and he's like trying to discreetly off camera, like just signify like waving up, like move the teleprompter up. His hand wasn't off camera.
Look, the highest paid person on that staff needs to be the teleprompter operator. Yeah. And that guy is dropping the ball over and over.
Well, last week we just had a young woman ask him a question. I think it was in a church too. And she was like, everyone told me I have to read off of this piece of paper. I'm so mad and I'm so upset. I'm not reading off of this piece of paper. I'm just going to talk to you straight up. And this is what's going on right now. And she went on this kind of diatribe, this long monologue of what she was feeling and like the culture and what's happening right now with like the race wars and everything. And by the end of it, it was about 5 or 6 minutes long. He didn't answer the question. He's like, okay, next person come up. And I was like, wait, you didn't answer the question.
I just searched Biden because I was going to pull that sound up and play it. And like the list of cuts that we have here that Biden said are just like, it is straight gold entertainment. Just one like Joe Biden says hi to his wife randomly in the middle of his speech.
Hi, Jill.
There's my wife, Jill. No, I'm Jill's husband. Like, because
I love that clip.
And when he says that, do you know why he says that? Do you get why he changes it? Because he's pandering to women because he thinks women want to hear him not say that she is his wife, because that would make her a possession of him. Instead, he rephrases it so that he is a possession of hers. What self-respecting woman is going to listen and be like, that's right. That's how it goes. That your husband it's okay for your husband to be a possession of yours, but it would be like, that is the most pandery bologna sausage I can possibly think of, that he would change that purposely to try to make the snowflake women out there be like, oh, he's woke. He is not woke. He's hardly awake. Give me a break.
Do you think somebody is sitting in a room with Trump telling him those things? Because that's what the Biden campaign is focusing on. Well, make sure you don't say that she's your wife. make sure that you say that you're her husband. That's what they're focusing on with him.
Some feminists in the room is like, oh, I got this. When you do this, you
Yeah.
need to say that they're going to love that. And there are people sitting out there who are going to hear that and who are going to love that. Those people are all voting for Biden anyway.
Right.
I mean, there's Donald Trump, like this man. I think people might suggest that he says certain things or hits certain key points, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be out of flattery to things that he's already said that they think he needs to do more of. And I'm pretty sure that when he comes out and when he comes up with something like Make America Great Again, or when he comes out with Build the Wall, like remember when he said in the campaign before, he said build the wall, and then they were like, you need to keep saying build the wall, and he was it Make America Great Again? But he was like, I think it's kind of hokey, but then everybody was chanting it at his campaign. He's like, all right, well, I guess it sticks. So he kind of rolls with it. I mean, you're either playing in the PC world or you're not. And we have Joe Biden trying to out-woke everybody by saying that he's Jill Biden's husband. And then he says that he's Joe Biden's husband. He doesn't even say it correctly. And then you've got Trump saying pretty much whatever he wants. I'll take the straight truth, even if it hurts sometimes, over Joe Biden trying to out-pander and out-woke women because they think that's what I want to hear to get my vote. I am not nearly as stupid as I need to be in order to buy that. Let's take a quick break. Jim Carafano is going to talk to us about the partisan divide and the riots across the country, and we'll be back in just a minute. Don't go anywhere.
Are you looking for ways to increase the value of your business property? Well, repainting is one of the most cost-effective options. Let the expert team at CertaPro Painters help protect your investment with professional results. You can trust CertaPro Painters to get the job done right and safely. Plus, each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. They are a local business you can support. Contact them today at CertaPro.com and discuss your project and get a proposal. CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
It's that time of year again, where an afternoon thunderstorm can pop out of nowhere, bringing damaging winds and power outages. At Spire, we know life doesn't stop just because the power did. Thankfully, you can depend on natural gas water heaters and stoves no matter how long the power is out. And right now, choose a natural gas water heater and get up to a $300 rebate at spireenergy.com/rebates. Now that's fuel for good.
Marc Cox here. There's a lot going on in real estate right now. If you're planning to sell, who do you call and trust to get the most money for your home safely and hassle-free? I've got your answer. It is Gloria Liu with GL International Realty, part of the Coldwell Banker Premier Group. Listen, there's a difference between just getting your home sold and getting it done right. Getting your home sold means getting more money in your pocket, not just getting the house sold. Gloria nets her sellers 3% more than the average agent on a $300,000 home. That's $9,000 more in your pocket. Call Gloria. Let her show you how she puts that exclusive database of over 9,000 ready buyers to work for you. Your home may already be sold. Better yet, Gloria will guarantee to sell your home, or she'll buy it herself in writing. Call Gloria Liu today, 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
What's holding you back from solving your tax problems? If it's cost, know that the longer you wait, the more expensive it'll be. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Tax resolution doesn't have to be expensive, and waiting year after year to resolve your tax problems can be extremely costly. Interest and penalties on your tax bill won't stop until you take control. So take the first step now and hire a tax resolution attorney to help you. Call me, Lance Drury. I'll tell you in advance an affordable fee which includes costs and expenses that works for your business and family. Your first visit to the Lance Drury Law Firm is free and confidential, so you have nothing to lose. But the longer you wait, the more interest and penalties you'll pay. Call me today. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need us, the Lance Drury Law Firm. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120, or go to Lance, DRURY law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
KFTK FM Florissant, K254CR St. Louis, driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk, a radio.com station.
He's not naming a price. Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Trump getting questions about what he's willing to spend on his own campaign after a Bloomberg News report that he's talked about spending up to $100 million of his own money.
Whatever it takes, we have to win. This is the most important election in the history of our country.
The president taking questions from reporters before heading to Florida, where he reportedly plans to back an extended ban on offshore drilling off Florida's Gulf Coast. He also has a campaign event in North Carolina, while Joe Biden holds a virtual town hall with military families. Senate Republicans unveiling a pared-down coronavirus relief bill aimed at focusing on possible common ground, including school reopening money, unemployment benefits, and COVID testing. About $500 billion in all. Top Democrats in Congress say it's not nearly enough. Dozens more campers and hikers rescued in California as the battle continues against multiple wildfires in extreme heat.
A fire burning in the Sierra Nevada mountains east of Fresno forced evacuations of a campground over the weekend. More than 200 people had to be airlifted out of the forest, and since then, dozens more have needed to be rescued in the same way.
That's why I say apocalyptic a little bit, you know.
The creek fire torched more than 144,000 acres in just a few days. There's no containment. Temperatures soared past the 100-degree mark in many parts of the state. California has seen more than 2 million acres burned this year alone, and the windy fire weather that usually hits Southern California in the fall, making fires worse, hasn't even arrived yet. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
8 national forests temporarily closing because of the fires and the heat, and some residents and businesses are suffering through the heat with no electricity. California's largest utility shutting off power to more than 170,000 customers to prevent its equipment from sparking fires. They're hoping to turn the power back on by tomorrow night. America is listening to Fox News.
This is a special end-of-summer announcement from Dell. At our Labor Day sale, small businesses can save up to 50% on select business computers with Intel Core processors. We're committed to taking your business to the next level. Give our small business technology advisors a call. They'll identify the right tech solution for your business with Labor Day savings. Visit Dell.com/business deals or call us at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
So who is your wireless provider? AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile? The average person is saving $400 a year by switching to Pure Talk USA. Pure Talk is on the same network, same towers, just 50% off in terms of price. Right now, get unlimited talk, text, and 2 gigs of data for just $20 a month. Switch to Pure Talk today. Now, from your cell phone, dial pound 250 and say Pure Radio. That's pound 250, Pure Radio. Pure Talk USA, simply smarter wireless.
Air Comfort Service heating and cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Still on the warm to hot side this afternoon, looking for a high close to 90 degrees, partly sunny skies, just a slight chance of a spot late day thunderstorm. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, 80s this evening, 65 for the overnight low. Wednesday, partly sunny, 88 degrees. A cool front is going to be struggling to get through the St. Louis area, but it will knock our temperatures back a little bit Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's open enrollment season, and MediShare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google MediShare and see if it's a right fit for you. And check out the podcast from the Associated Press, Ground Game, hosted by AP's digital editor, Megan Crane.
Enhance your home's curb appeal, security, and efficiency with a new garage door from Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Use their digital app to see what new doors look like on your home before installation day. Installed by their own factory-trained technicians, never subcontractors. Always look for the red ribbon. It's your assurance you've got the genuine, the original Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Call 314-781-5200. Overhead Door, trusted in St. Louis since 1926. Schedule your free in-home estimate at overheaddoorslouis.com or call 314-781-5200.
Beck and Lennox Estate Planning and Elder Law is waiting for your phone call. So many Annie Fry Show listeners have called already, and I want to encourage you to do the same. Might take a little bravery on your part to, start rolling that ball down the hill of getting your estate plan done, trying to decide what you want to have done with your assets when you are no longer here, or, the really tough conversations that exist around you and your spouse, your significant other, how you're going to handle this. Well, you definitely want to stay out of probate. You definitely want to manage things for the people who will be left behind. And Beck and Lennox Estate Planning and Elder Law are just the folks to do that. If you've never done any estate planning, call them at 636-946-7899. That's 636-946-7899. They are there to help you. They are there to answer your questions. They are there to make sure that you are comfortable, knowledgeable, and prepared for the inevitable in a way that is comfortable, that's going to give you peace of mind. And they're very, very good at doing that. 636-946-7899, online at beckelderlaw.com.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly with thehomeloanexpert.com. Mortgage interest rates are in the twos, and we are saving folks hundreds, even thousands of dollars a month with an easy refinance. If you're thinking about a refinance, we can drop your rate, get you some cash out, skip 2 months of payments, and close in 30 days. And if you're buying a home, let your realtor know that you can close in 30 days or less at thehomeloanexpert.com.
The Home Loan Expert LLC, NMLS number 1326241.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money, heard every Saturday morning at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Nearly every week, our team meets with clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and in some cases actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion on your retirement plan today. When you work with us at the ClearPath Wealth Management Group, we're committed to providing you with guidance that's in your best interest, no exceptions. To request your free consultation, contact us at bobstockdale.com. That's bobstockdale.com. Again, that's bobstockdale.com. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
97.1 FM Talk. Sean Hannity, Dave Glover, Annie Fry, Brian Kilmeade, Marc Cox. That's the lineup backward. Reminding you that you can rewind anytime at 971talk.com. The Annie Fry Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's
us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rip my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, Sid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Burn it down. 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 Burn it down.
So that's the Portland Police North Precinct and the Antifa protesters chanting nearby. Are we almost to the point now where we're like, well, what location was it? Is that current? Is that new? I mean, good grief. What are we growing accustomed to here in this country? When I was watching some of the protests that were on live streamers, I don't know who these people are, but they're there and it's live and I'm watching it happen and seeing the video that came out of, was it Rochester, where these people were accosting these individuals who were dining and trashing the place, ripping. I mean, it has to stop. Would this stuff be happening if it weren't an election year? Does it have anything to do with politics? And of course, if you're in politics, everything has to do with you in politics because you make it that way. How is this political climate that's extremely partisan affecting the safety, the security of ourselves here in our own country? Let's get to our guest. Jim Carafano is here, and he's the leading expert in national security and foreign policy at Heritage Foundation. He's with us each Tuesday here on the Annie Fry Show, just as he is right now. Jim, thanks for coming on the show with us today. It's great to have you here again.
Great to be with you.
Well, I got to ask you, I know that you're a policy guy. You're not here to be a political pundit, but the election year occurring right now is, of course, going to affect something that comes out of these riots. And when you have both the president and the challenger in the presidential race going to Kenosha, Wisconsin, of course, there is some level of interest there that does trickle to the November election. Does the political climate surrounding this crazy unrest in our country, does it add fuel to the literal fire?
I will say this, in my estimation, and I put money on this, and I don't put money. I do think that if the only thing we're talking about is the election, this violence goes on, that it doesn't matter who wins, that this is an independent enough of a radical political organized force in this country that they will turn on or move their agenda forward. So the notion that somehow, well, if Trump loses, everybody will just go back to the barracks and take a Molotov and rocks and have, I don't think that's true at all. I think the opposite. Go to the barricades, and if the win doesn't get what they want, they'll go after him too. So the answer is not in the election. I will tell you that.
Jim, we're going to put you on hold here real quick. We're having a lot of trouble here with your connection. I want to make sure that we get your reaction to this as you're saying, and that's just kind of distorted. So Ryan, real quick while we're working on his connection here, do you think that this happens no matter what in an election year? And do you think that the political climate makes it better or worse? Or do you think that, because I do kind of believe in some cases they are separate. It's almost as if the politicians want to step into the spotlight. Granted, Trump is the president. That is a distinction.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I do think that, like you said, there's a separation. I don't think that everybody who's rioting right now is doing it for political reasons. I mean, some people are just looting. They just want to break open a Target and see what they can get. I do think, though, politically, this wouldn't happen if it weren't an election year because the people who are in power are allowing it to happen more this year than they would otherwise.
So the political capital that exists for the Democrats and the Republicans who are in charge, it does have a little bit of an effect on that. All right, I think we've got Jim back here. Jim, sorry about that. We want to make sure that we hear you, and we're having a little difficulty doing that.
It was the Russians, I swear.
You would know. That's
Always
why we
is.
have you on here, just to get the real information. Ryan had a question he wanted to ask you. Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to follow up, Jim, on some of the things that you were talking about before we let you go there. Just in terms of Trump visiting Kenosha, this seems like a spot where it's been very political, in that it's Wisconsin. Do you think, and I know we're trying not to get into too much politics and staying on policy here, but do you think the fact that this is happening now in a swing state, we saw both candidates go there, is that going to affect both candidates? I mean, Trump's been very strong on law and order, but now Biden is saying, hey, I want to see this stop too. Do you think that we actually might see something change before the election?
Well, this is the real lesson of Kenosha, right? And it's not about who's elected. It's about how do you stop this? And the way you stop this is that local, state, and federal officials have to work together using their law enforcement assets to do that. And we saw that in Kenosha. They very quickly brought in the National Guard and brought in surrounding law enforcement. The protests didn't stop, but nobody has a problem with the protests. I mean, people may disagree with the protesters, but nobody has a problem with people protesting. But the violence stopped because you had an integrated law enforcement process that didn't tolerate it. And that's the key that gets this done. And I think, and this is not a political comment, but what we have seen here is we've seen local, state, and national public officials enabling the violence, normalizing the violence by excusing it, endorsing things like this stupid report, 93% of the protests are not violent. Who cares? Nobody cares about 93% of the protests. We care about the violence. They've enabled this. So if we're going to vote them back into power, what are they going to do? They're going to turn on these people and say, okay, you guys got to stop now. Thanks a lot for helping me get elected. And the answer is, if they try to do that, what those people will do is they will go to the streets and they will riot against them. And then if they want to stop that, they're going to have to do exactly the things that Trump is doing now.
We're speaking with Jim Carafano with Heritage Foundation. Jim, maybe you can lay out for us what options the president has, because we've heard about governors need to call in the National Guard, and we've heard about local law enforcement, and then we hear some pundits saying that the president's going to send troops in, and semantics matter in this because there are a lot of layers of law enforcement that exist. Tell us maybe what options are there and maybe which ones you think would be most beneficial.
Yeah, there's really only one. Look, reality matters. Look, if you take every federal law enforcement officer in every federal agency, that's about a little more than the size of the New York City police force. And all those guys have day jobs. So there's 50,000 policemen that flood into a city. So that ain't going to happen. And you take the National Guard. The National Guard is great at guarding stuff and providing support to civil authorities, but they cannot police a community. In Mogadishu, they certainly can't do it in an American city, and they all have day jobs too. So the federal government can't just step in and take over for anything maybe more than a small city. I mean, we just can't do that. Certainly they can't do it in Portland and Seattle and places like that. The reality is if you want the problem solved, state and local officials have to cooperate. The federal government can supplement that, and they can really help deal with the problem. But that means that you have to enforce the law. You have to actually prosecute people and put them in jail. The other thing the federal government can do, and it's a very powerful tool, is organizing these kinds of criminal activities, the rioting, et cetera, isn't itself a crime. You can punish people for that. It's called a RICO investigation. The federal government can be very aggressive in finding out who's funding, who's organizing, who's supporting, who's directing these things, arrest them and put them in jail and help take down this activity. So those are the only two practical things the president can do to really make a difference. And here's the deal. The president is doing those things. And so any criticism of what he's doing the practical, responsible things a president should do. But we live in a federal system, and we take responsibility for that because we vote local and state people into office, and they have to do their part. And if they don't, you get bad results. Just like in COVID, you had states that dealt with it very responsibly and cities dealt with it responsibly. They had good public health outcomes cooperating with the federal government. Some states and cities went off on their own, and they've got a disaster.
Jim, you're an expert in national security and foreign policy. So I'm interested to know, when we look around and we see America and we're going, we've never, ever seen anything like this before. We've seen it on our TV screens in other nations, but now we're looking at this and going, this is happening here. Is there anything we can learn from, in other nations that have dealt with rioting or things like this in France before that they've been able to say, past the election, here's how we're going to deal with this? Or are we on uncharted waters?
Well, no, actually, first of all, we have seen these things here. I'm old enough to remember the 1960s, and it was actually worse because it was more endemic, more widespread, and literally every university was in flames. And actually, and this is kind of the unreported story, so kind of thanks for bringing this up. There's actually a lot of unrest going on in Europe today, in France, in Germany. There have been numerous riots in Leipzig, Germany. And the problem and the solution is the same: is when people think that the rule of law no more matters, and their issue or their whatever they want supplants the rule of law, and that is not enforced, then that community starts to break down, and that's what leads to the endemic violence. And the answer is pretty simple. You provide equality under the law, and you provide that by putting enough law enforcement in there so people credibly believe that the rule of law matters and that equality under the law is going to be enforced. And that, in free society, that will calm things down and make the problem go away.
Do you think that we are in a position where this president will be able to calm anything down with his leadership here, with the law enforcement options that you're talking about here? Do you feel as though we're getting closer to calm than we are unrest, or are we just still in the thick of this?
Well, it's kind of like COVID. It's a big, complex country, and where Americans pull together and put the interests of America and their communities first, things are fine. Where they don't, like in Portland and Seattle, it's a disaster. Look at Portland today. Portland today is playing catch up. They're actually trying to deal with the violence. They're calling people riots. They're going after them, starting to arrest them. Now the problem is that the DA will prosecute them. So, but places where people work together, it's fine. Look at Washington, D.C. We have protests. We've had a little violence. Our mayor's a complete leftist. But by and large, the rule of law is enforced in Washington, D.C., and we're not seeing those kind of problems. So it can be done. It doesn't even require everybody to elect all people in the same party. It can be done in a bipartisan manner. All it requires is to do that. But when you have politicians who made a conscious decision to enable and normalize violence, you get more violence. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's riot science.
Riot science. Well, our local resident riot scientist, Jim Carafano, on with us each Tuesday. I look forward to the time where we don't need riot scientists anymore, and hopefully we're getting a little bit closer to that. Thank you so much for coming on. It's always good to speak with you, Jim.
Great. Thanks for having me, guys.
We'll talk to you again soon. At JJ Carafano on Twitter, heritage.org for more information from him and so many other great people who contribute to Heritage Foundation. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, here's the thing, folks. I don't really love polls, but I know some of you do love polls. Ryan loves polls so much he reads polls about polls. And I am going to give you the floor, Ryan. He doesn't know this. He's finding this out live on the Andy Fry Show. You can tell us anything that you think that the Andy Fry Show listener should know or would want to know about polls. And I will see if you pique my interest on anything.
Get ready. You're going to get a deluge. Here it comes.
Big word.
Yes.
All right. Polls about polls with Ryan Wiggins when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie. Decision 2020 is here at 971talk.com/election. Brought to you by Grasser Electric. Don't be left in the dark. Make the right call. Grasser Electric on 97.1 FM Talk.
Frederick Roofing, wherever you live, from Alton to Afton to Collinsville to Cottleville, Clayton to Creveport, your city and more. Webster to Wildwood, the one you know. Frederick Roofing, wherever you go. For a hole in your roof, or a whole new roof. Frederick Roofing.
314-645-2000. Aren't you tired of hearing ads that say they're the best, they're the experts, blah, 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 just one unsubstantiated claim after another? Well, here are two substantiated claims that actually mean something if you need roof repair or a new roof. With a family-owned business tradition of over 80 years and 80,000 satisfied customers, you can depend on Frederick Roofing, residential or commercial.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof. Frederick Roofing. Frederick Roofing, 645-2000.
It's my time to talk to you about Stewie again, and I really just do have a bright heart about being able to share Stewart's American Mortgage with you. And here's why. Because he can help you. And here's the other thing. I know that when you call him and you explain to him whatever your situation is, and you use the bagel loan, it's not going to cost you anything to do that refinance. It's not going to cost you anything to make that home purchase because he eliminates those fees with the bagel loan. He doesn't tuck them somewhere else. They don't exist like they are going to exist everywhere else. I know that that's the truth because I've done it. But here's the other thing. I know that Stewie is going to help you. I know that when I send you to 314-324-4440, Stewie's cell phone, that he is not going to take advantage of you, that he is going to do what's absolutely best for you. And I hear the stories from both Annie Fry Show listeners and from Stewie of people who he has helped enormously and people who he just had to turn away in the event that that he couldn't help them honestly. I know that he cares about you. I know he cares about this listenership. And that's why I want to make sure that I connect you with good people. And that's Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage. 314-324-4440. Call him, text him, mention my name when you do, and get this process started. You're not going to regret it, folks. NMLS number 226715.
Marc Cox here. If you need to drop a few pounds, call my friends at Slim 180. Get back in shape. Feel great. Keep the weight off. You can use their traditional program, the medically supervised HCG Rapid Weight Loss, or the new Quick Start Lipo-Lean. I use the HCG Rapid Weight Loss program, and the weight dropped off in a hurry, sometimes 1.5 pounds a day. All the Slim 180 centers are following COVID-19 guidelines to keep you safe. They've got gloves and masks and plexiglass dividers. You work with their counselors and their doctors one-on-one, either in person or remotely. They can even mail you products or have curbside pickup. You can schedule your free consultation today. They also work with flex spending and health savings account cards. 6 locations: O'Fallon, St. Charles, Sunset Hills, Creve Coeur, Chesterfield, and Florissant. Visit them online today and set up your initial appointment at myslim180.com.
You may wonder, what does a home warranty even get me? Is that something that's worth my time? And that's a great question, because for a long time, I wasn't sure what a home warranty was either. But then I got together with my friends at Upkeep Home Warranty and Maintenance, and I have learned that through Upkeep, your appliances are all covered, your plumbing and electrical systems are covered, your heating, your AC. So these are huge issues when it comes to your home. Inevitably, you're going to run into a problem at some point, and that's going to be really expensive to fix unless you are covered under that home warranty. And the best part about Upkeep Home Warranty and Maintenance is they are never going to deny your claim due to lack of maintenance, because their technicians are out at your home 4 times a year, maintaining your equipment and making sure that you are good to go. Upkeep is offering $100 off to DGS listeners. Just use code DGS. Check out their website, upkeepstl.com.
Dear beloved home, I can still remember the day we met. It was love at first sight. We've been together a while now, and you've protected us from everything St. Louis's weather has thrown at you. Don't take this the wrong way. Your old siding and shabby roof is giving away your age. You're still beautiful on the inside, but it's time for a new look. That's where Mosby Building Arts comes in. Mosby has a team of roofing and siding specialists that we can trust to get you what you need. Whether it's a new roof to weather any storm or insulated siding to keep us cool on a hot summer day, Mosby will make you look even better than the day we met. And their 10-year warranty will keep you that way for a long time to come.
Need new siding or a new roof? Call Mosby at 314-909-1800 or visit callmosby.com.
Mosby Building Arts. Home never felt so good.
Experience the miscellaneous nature of the Dave Glover Show.
None of you ever went to a high school dance with a date?
I didn't go on a date in high school.
9 people in your graduating
13.
class?
We made it to double digits.
On 97.1 FM Talk.
Girl, please excuse me if I'm coming too strong, but tonight is the night we can really let go. My girlfriend's out of town and I'm all alone. Your boyfriend's on vacation and he doesn't have to know. No, no one can do the things I'm gonna wanna do, you know. Shout loud, scream loud, let me hear you go, baby, I like it.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. If there's anything that Ryan Wiggins likes, it's polls. You know what I mean when I say that. Ryan, take it away.
All right. All right. That sounded
right,
like
guys.
that joke was coming from a long way away.
What do you mean?
I think
You
I
love
think
polls. It's all you talk about is the time you spend with them.
You're right. You're right. I spend time spinning on polls and talking about
Which is your favorite
polls.
poll?
My favorite poll is the poll of polls. The better, I know, it's the battleground
Next
poll
level stuff.
that compares 2016 polls in just battleground states to 2020 polls in just battleground states,
So-
and sees how they're doing, according to who's up.
As we go into this conversation,
Yeah.
I don't if I didn't do this for a living, I would probably be looking at a lot of polls as well, just because it's something to do, it's something to see. But I also feel like every time I tune into any show on any station, they're like, a recent poll said blah 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 blah, and then you could turn in another station or read another article and they're like, a recent poll said blah 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 blah, and you're like, there's a poll for everything. So I kind of feel like I either need to be all in or all out on the polls. I don't think that they're wrong. I just think that they're it's a lot, and it's a lot of numbers. So Ryan pays attention to him a lot. And I told Ryan, I said, I want you to tell us anything that interests you, that you think that you folks listening in at your desk and home, at work, in the car, what you should know. So Ryan's going to lay out all the important stuff. And I think there's a lot of people out there listening who like polls a lot more than I do. So I think Ryan's probably in the majority here.
Okay, good.
Good. Yeah, I do.
So what?
I do have to say before you begin, Karl Rove just did this exact same thing. So I feel like
Did he do it on a whiteboard?
He didn't do it on a whiteboard this time. He didn't, but he was going over and comparing battleground states 2016 to 2020. So
Can
I
we
thought
talk
that was
about Karl Rove real quick? I know,
Please.
Ryan. We
No,
will.
please.
We won't end the show. Dave can just wait. You will get your poll talk
Ryan
in
gets his
because
time.
I know
Still
it's
at
important to you.
3:20. I'm talking polls.
more polls. They just came out.
Dave may let you take the first segment of his show with that. You'll probably get beat up a little bit, but you know.
Hey guys, you ready to hear the polls? And then they just make fun of me.
Karl Rove and his whiteboard, as a millennial who watches Fox News, I know that I am not the big demographic that's watching Fox News right now. There is nothing that looks more old man than the dude who can't let go of his whiteboard. And I saw Karl Rove on Sean Hannity's show a week, 2 or so ago. And Hannity said something about, where's your whiteboard? And I think Karl Rove said, he's like, the guys at Fox won't let me use it anymore. And I'm like, finally, because I was saying the whole election and then the years afterwards that he would go on Fox News, and he's right. I'm like, they have computer graphics that can be put up there who are going to be more legible than your stupid chicken scratch on a whiteboard. It's just like,
it's not cute.
Okay, boomer is really what I want to say here. But I
don't mind the visuals. I like when he brings in the visuals, but you're right. It's almost like a gimmick when he brings out that board. You're like, oh, it's Karl Rove. That's what he does.
Yep.
All right, you ready for this? Okay. Since the RNC, there's the theme song. We have seen the polls drifting. I'm not going to say they've shifted hard, but they've been drifting in favor of Trump, at least in the battlegrounds. The national polls is what you'll usually hear them talking about, and those have stayed relatively the same, maybe even ticked toward Biden a little bit, but not a lot. The battleground polls are what matters the most, and the most interesting couple that we've seen in the last couple weeks. I'm really waiting to hear more out of Wisconsin because of Kenosha. I think that's going to be a major factor in the polls from now through election day for sure. I don't think that's going to be a blip. But Pennsylvania and Florida have been showing some interesting signs of movement toward Trump. Pennsylvania in particular is interesting because Pennsylvania is supposed to be one that was an anomaly in 2016 and would be going back toward the Democrat blue wall this year. But that's looking less and less likely, especially
if Biden can't win Pennsylvania.
If he can't win Pennsylvania, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to win the election.
So Judge Napolitano said on Fox News something today, which is very important to remember, that this is not one election on November 3rd. This is 52 elections on November 3rd, 50 states plus Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. That we have an electoral college. And when they take a poll of the population of the United States or whatever, if it's an overarching poll that's not specific to a state, remember, Hillary Clinton won the poll in November of 2016. On November 8th of 2016, Hillary Clinton won that poll. And she is shockingly, to her mostly, still not the president of the United States. You have to look at these states like the ones that Ryan's listing here when you're talking about Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, and then, of course, Wisconsin, Michigan, all of these swing states, potentially Ohio. Those are the states that matter. Donald Trump is in Florida right now. He's going to North Carolina after that. North Carolina was the state, correct? It was North Carolina, or was it South Carolina, that Biden won big in for the primary. Was that South Carolina?
South Carolina.
That was
yeah.
South Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to look at these states across the country, and you have to pay attention to what each state is doing and the trend with which each state is heading to kind of know. And I think that due to the polls, and we've heard this a lot in what a lot of the pundits are saying, because they do pay attention to them as well, that you've seen a bit of a shift in strategy of where Joe Biden is, what he's doing, how he's talking, his, back when he was sitting in the basement, and his answer to, are you going to get out and participate here in this campaign, is like, if it's working for me, why would I change it? Well, he's changed it. So to Ryan's point here, those polls might be having an effect because they might not be headed in the direction Biden wants them to be on how he's choosing to campaign.
Yeah, and even beyond the numbers, the reason that you know for sure that actually is happening is because you've heard Biden and Harris's message change so much in the last week or so. Now Biden's all of a sudden, he's saying, well, I'm the law and order candidate. That's brand new to everybody. That was not their campaign message throughout the entire DNC. But as I focus on these states, as Annie was talking about, Florida is really key to the whole election. Duh, everybody kind of knows that for the last 20 to 25 years, that's been the case. Florida looks to be moving more and more toward Trump. And that's one that is interesting because even in 2018, the Democrats took back the House in 2018. But even in 2018, Ohio and Florida both elected Republicans majorities in their legislatures and in their governorship in the case of Florida. So as we look at Florida this year, it's actually trending toward Trump even more. Florida is tied at 48 in a new NBC News poll, which is very interesting. And then here's some data that shocked me when I heard it. In 2016, Trump lost Miami-Dade County in Florida by 30 points to Hillary Clinton. This year, he is trending at about 17 points behind Biden. So that's the most populous county and city and market in Florida. And he has almost cut the lead in half from 2016. So that's significant. I think if Trump can win Florida and Ohio, which I don't think either one of those states are going to be as in play for Democrats as they usually are, we're talking about probably one other state he needs to win the election.
Interesting. Katie, do you look at polls? Do your friends look at polls?
No. This is
no, absolutely not.
Why I say that is because
what
it's
if Ryan
so in the
talked
weeds.
to them about polls?
It's not even
what if we captured them and put them in a room
them hostage
with 2 chairs, one for them, one for Ryan Wiggins, and then we said, "You're here to talk about polls," and then Ryan walked in,
and they were taped to the chair, but I was not.
Perfect. I think that's a great setup. Let's have it happen. No,
and then we made a case for Joe Biden.
It really is like the amount of information that you're giving, though. It's like almost information overload, and it's so into the weeds that it's hard for me to keep track of what's going on. And then tomorrow it could be something completely different, which frustrates me to no end. That today is something totally different than it could be tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ryan. Do you have anything else?
Well, I was just going to say that right now, again, sort of the broad overview of the polls of the battleground states is that Trump is actually running just about even to where he was right now in 2016 in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, North Carolina, and Arizona, which means it's still going to be really close according to the polls. Now, this is not factoring in the silent majority that we talk about, so we don't know what that looks like this year. We'll find out, but it is right now still very close in the battlegrounds.
Is Joe Biden a more exciting candidate than Hillary Clinton, Katie?
I think Hillary was more exciting for people because she was a woman. I think many people were like, yes, finally, like a woman is running. This is awesome. I don't really think that they cared too much about her policies. They were just thrilled because of her gender. And so I think that made her much more appealing and much easier to watch that dynamic between Trump and between Clinton.
Joe Biden is an older, whiter Hillary Clinton, who's a dude. So I don't know how you go from that. And then you have to also compare it to who voted for Donald Trump in 2016 going, Hillary Clinton, I know what I'm getting with her. I would like to hope that what I get with Trump would be good, but I'll take average to a little bit lower than average Republican Donald Trump to the guarantee you're going to get with Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Progressive Party. Donald Trump has delivered more than any of the other Republican candidates, in my opinion, would have been able to deliver had they gotten elected. Why? If you were willing to roll the dice on that. And I still say that the character of Donald Trump was much more in question in 2016 than it is in 2020. I think we know Donald Trump a lot more than what we were being told who Donald Trump was in 2016. I mean, that dossier that came out was disgusting and nasty. And that came out in October, right before the election happened. It was fresh in everyone's minds. Lots of things swirling around about women and affairs and everything. And he still won. And I think in the last 4 years, we have seen who Donald Trump really is, flaws and all. And I just don't know who would have voted for him before who's going to go, I can't do this now. And again, older, whiter, male, Hillary Clinton running for the Democratic presidential as the Democratic presidential candidate. I don't see how this pans out for them.
And I think Hillary was a little bit more appealing too because she had her wits about her. She could formulate sentences. She could talk to the public. She did have speeches in front of thousands of people. So it was a little bit more intriguing to watch that dynamic.
Yep, I agree.
She was a better candidate for sure. But there's more passionate hatred for Trump now, I think, than there was in 2016. So there's a little bit more motivation from the just get rid of him camp than there was then.
But if you hated him then, you hate him more now. That doesn't move the vote total. Do you think that there are people who didn't hate him who now hate him?
No, I think I know what you're saying. Like, it's not that that camp has increased. I think they're more motivated. And so you may see a higher turnout from people who are trying to get rid of him than you did in 2016. Not that the tent has enlarged though.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, Tony Colombo is going to join us for some signs of the apocalypse in studio. Stick around. We'll be back in just a minute.
Baby, I like it, the way you move on the floor. Baby, I like it. Come on and give me some more. Oh, yes, I like
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for free HVAC estimates, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Napa know-how. Get all the quality parts you need at your locally owned Napa. Because right now, when you order from Napa online, you can pick up curbside at your local store in just 30 minutes. Or get your order delivered direct to your door with free one-day shipping on over 160,000 quality parts when you spend $35 or more. Quality parts delivered quickly and safely. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating stores, standard ground shipping and exclusions apply.
Time's running out to win $1,000 a day for life from Publishers Clearinghouse. Enter at PCH.com and you and your family could soon be celebrating the win of a lifetime. Don't miss your chance to win $1,000 a day for life on October 31st. Go to PCH.com before it's too late. That's PCH.com. Better hurry if you want the next big winner to be you. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 10/28. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited.
Are you concerned you won't have enough income in retirement to live comfortably? Or do you wonder how long your money will last? Do you also wonder how all the market volatility will affect your retirement plans? This is Thomas Helbig of the Retirement Advisory Group, and we'd like to show you how to protect your retirement savings from market losses and generate more income than most investment options. Call me now at 314-993-9494 for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. We'll build your own personalized, structured income plan that will show you exactly the type of retirement you could count on. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of my second edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. This book covers everything I teach in my live educational events. I've been helping retirees and pre-retirees to and through retirement for 33 years. Call me now at 314-993-9494 or online at retirementkey.com. Once again, that's 314-993-9494 or online at retirementkey.com.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at throttlenet.com. So it's crazy time at ThrottleNet. They are IT geniuses, but they are a little bit nutty. Right now, they will pay you $250 for a conversation about your IT support because they value your time during the crazy pandemic. They'll give you the first 30 days for free, no charge for all of their services. And then they'll pay you another $1,000 if you decide to leave in the first 30 days for your trouble. They don't anticipate that you're going to leave, but if you do, they'll shake your hand, they'll put you back where you were, and they'll write you a check for $1,000. It is completely no risk, and they reward you for your time and for your effort. They are the best IT shop in the city, named number 1 5 years straight. They are good guys. Like I said, they are geniuses at protecting you, but they can communicate. They don't stare at their shoes. They look you in the eye and they tell you what you need to know. ThrottleNet.com/971.
The Marc Cox Morning Show.
I had somebody tell me he had a buddy go to get a COVID test. The line was too long, but he'd already filled out the paperwork to get the test. 4 days later, they called him and told him that he tested negative. He didn't even take the test. How does that happen?
Weekday mornings 5 to 9.
Show me where to look, tell me what will I find? What will I find? Let me on the ground and fly me in the sky. Show me where to look, tell me what will I find? What will I find?
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Thanks for coming on here and hanging out with us. We are working on a sign drive, you Madison County folks, you Region 4 folks who can't go inside of anywhere. We are working on putting together a sign drive where you can come and pick up some yard signs to display at your home. So you're going to want to stick around for details for that. You can follow us at the Annie Fry Show Facebook page, and also on Illinois Rising is a Facebook group attached to the Annie Fry Show Facebook page, and we will post those details soon. A lot of response from people who want to get those signs, and we're putting together something for you. So let's get to our guest here. We got Tony Colombo in studio with us. Hi, Tony.
Hey, everybody.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. See, this time you actually said how you were. That's good.
I feel great. He feels refreshed after.
Hi, Tony. How are you?
Disney.
How are you
Hanging
doing,
in
Annie?
there. Hanging in there.
Hanging in there. That's
you guys
right.
sound like normal people having a normal talk.
Now, signs of the apocalypse on the Annie Fry Show.
Quiet you.
No, we were catching up after the weekend.
Chat with our friends.
Signs of the apocalypse is that it was just Labor Day weekend, and it does not feel like that in any way, shape, or form.
No, it does not.
Can I say so? I'm going to say something real.
Yeah, get real.
We're just friends talking.
Get real.
I
Get real.
want to add a Christmas tree to my home this Christmas
Oh,
season.
there we go.
Hey,
Is it time to put up Christmas decorations
She's
already?
been talking about
this
this
Christmas
since
season.
August. She's been talking about Christmas since August.
It was just August. That was recent. We're almost a
4 weeks
whole
ago.
week past into September.
I know that's nowhere near Christmas though.
I want to add a Christmas tree to my Christmas decorations, and I thought I might put it up earlier and just kind of like progressively decorate it as we get close to the appropriate time to decorate for Christmas, which is whenever you want to.
You are the most progressive person I know.
False.
Tony,
it was going to be a Disney tree. It was going to be
nice.
Oh yeah, now you okay with it?
Are you?
No.
This should be an Annie. Are you okay? But we were at
But here we
were
are.
at my mom's house cleaning over the weekend, and one of the things is she's one of those people that just leaves the Christmas tree completely decorated in the basement, walks it up the steps.
Smart
every year.
lady.
Yeah,
That's smart.
yeah, and I think it's great. Other people were like, "That's really weird."
Did you have the space to do it and the
Right.
ability to move it up and down? But
Exactly. I don't have the space, but if I did, I would totally do that.
I'm a real Christmas tree user.
So
So this one would
That's not
I
gonna
was
work.
well, I was thinking that's a whole different course of problems. This one I was thinking about doing artificially, and I would have it be the same theme every year, so maybe I could do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Does your mom
Very
see the
smart.
tree
So
every
much
time
easier.
she goes downstairs, or is it hidden away?
No, I mean
You
it's
can get
not.
bags and stuff for
it's-
those that zip up and
It's off in a corner, but it's not hidden.
See that
It
because
is
that
kind
would
of
be
a
my
sign of
one issue
apocalypse.
is that if you see it all year, then you move it upstairs, it doesn't do anything for you.
Well,
You know?
it lights up.
Well, I guess if you plug it in, I didn't know we were talking about plugging things in now.
It's not lit up in the basement. It's not all. It's not.
anyways.
All right, here we go. Starting this one, the first one is one of these you got to kind of stay with me on. A guy named Herbert McClellan went to a Speedway gas station in Clearwater, Florida. It's always Florida. Around 2 a.m. last Tuesday, while the clerk was distracted, he reached over the counter and stole $102 worth of lottery scratchers. Then, at about 4 a.m., he came back to the store to cash in
the same one?
The same one. To cash in the winners in the scratchers, which was only about $30.
Oh, what a dummy, Florida. Come on.
So he
That's where Trump's campaigning today. Just so you know, folks.
Steals $102 worth of scratchers, scratches them all off, ends up with about $30 worth of winnings, brings it back to the same gas station, Speedway, that he had stole them from. The employee who he robbed immediately recognized him, called the police, and he's now arrested for theft and dealing in stolen property.
And being stupid.
That's who's deciding the future of America.
That's where we're at.
Swing State, Florida.
Swing State.
Swing State, Florida. All right, I can't believe this is still a thing that needs to be said, but don't drink bleach as a cure for coronavirus.
Is this something else that Trump did Trump tell people to do this?
I don't think he told anybody anytime recently, but of course that was a big
it's a possibility.
That was the big thing that, you know, people were drinking bleach because they thought it could cure them. I thought that had gone away, but no. The Poison Control Center in Dallas says that they had over 50 cases of people drinking bleach to prevent coronavirus in the month of August. So that's just one city in one state that had over 50 cases of people drinking bleach to prevent coronavirus last month, in the month of August, when it's not okay to start decorating for Christmas.
Don't drink bleach under any circumstances, folks. It's just supposed to be common sense.
I wonder if all of those people, like those 50 people, knew each other, or if it was like 50 random people. They were like, "Drink the bleach together, boys."
It was a drink bleaching party. It was not.
It
was not spread out at all. It was just
Brad on
little
It
area.
was
By
just one
Walker,
party.
Texas Ranger.
Brad on Facebook said, I had a boss who stole money from the safe. She never showed back up for work. Then like a month later, she came back for her last paycheck and was arrested.
Oh, jeez. There you go. A couple in Manitoba, Canada is getting blasted for doing a coronavirus wedding photo shoot that included a bunch of people around them pretending to be dead while they stood above them wearing their masks.
Oh my gosh.
Seems a little weird.
So I
to
guess
me.
the wedding party
That's probably
represented people that don't wear masks, and they were laying dead around the couple who had their masks on in their wedding picture. Yeah.
What's wrong with people?
That's a sign of the apocalypse.
But they were still having an in-person wedding.
That's a good point.
Good point.
You know what?
Good point.
They were at least having an in-person photo shoot.
Okay.
That's a great point.
They don't live in
So
Madison County,
gross.
Illinois.
A new meme going around on social media is called the blissfully unaware meme. This is where you are supposed to post pictures of yourself from January and February before you had any idea how much this
You know where
year
I
was
was.
going to stink.
I like that meme. I really like
The
that idea.
blissfully unaware
I
meme.
love that idea. Because I always think about that. I always think back at like New Year's Eve and I was like, 2020, it's going to be great. Like, cheers. And then stuff hit the fan.
2020. is a
Tony, when you were
disaster.
at Disney World last week, did you go to Disney Springs at all?
No.
Okay.
Did I ruin the story?
Well,
yes, I did.
I was
Annie.
hoping you did, because this is
I
the
sure did.
this is the place you could. It's like an outdoor mall, and you can
Yep.
go there, and you don't need a ticket. It's just like anybody can go there. You can eat, you can shop, and everything.
Mhm.
The people there, it's teeming with people, and they're wearing masks, but they're kind of half. Some people are not doing a great job at Disney Springs specifically. The parks, very much so, but
Oh,
the
yeah.
Springs, they're not. And when you're there in the middle of this, and people are acting like things are normal, it's jarring at first, and then it quickly becomes comforting. I guess Missouri, I say this as an Illinois resident living in a region that is like shut down right now, so stupidly shut down right now, that when you go into another place and they're acting mostly normal, you know, it's just like, why are we doing this to ourselves? It's so frustrating. And then when you go see it, at first it's kind of like it kind of grips you, and then you're like, no, this is right. This feels good. This feels normal. You kind of become, it's almost like Stockholm syndrome, where while you're in it, you think, okay, this is how it's supposed to be. And then when you realize outside there's a different life being lived, you're like, no, wait, that other way was crap. And I want to get out of it as fast as possible. I don't know. I just wondered if you went there because it was a much different atmosphere than at least here in the Illinois side of the river.
Next time I'll say yes, I promise.
Okay. Yeah. You'll go, yeah.
It seems people really miss airline food.
Ew.
Thai Airways has opened up a restaurant at its headquarters in Bangkok where people sit in airline seats and eat airline food, and the restaurant is booming.
It's weird.
Has
That's
anyone
weird.
ever had airplane food? Like, has
I
it
have.
come to that point where it was like, okay,
I don't think I've ever had a meal on an airplane. I think I've only had snacks.
I've only had snacks.
I think I've had a meal.
I've had a dinner once.
The only-
I flew East Coast to West Coast during dinner time.
The only
But
thing that
was-
makes it airline food is that you're on an airplane. It's just food. Like why
It's like TV dinner food.
Right.
yeah, it's not good, but is that the point? Is that we're gonna open a restaurant and just make the food less
I guess
good?
people miss it. I
It's
love
better than
high
starving.
school. I love school food. Like I
did too.
Cafeteria food?
Yeah. absolutely.
Cafeteria food's better than airplane food.
That's
I
square
think. Maybe I'm
pizza
flying the wrong
all day.
Yeah.
All right, I at least want to get this one in because this one is nuts. This is I read this and it I actually had to go check the stats to make sure this was right because it is crazy to me. The pandemic has driven people right back to their childhood bedrooms at a record amount. Now, 52% of people under 30 live with their parents.
Wow.
That is up from 47% in February and the highest level that's ever been measured.
Well, it makes sense because if you're somebody who's like as a wait staff or a retail worker or
More
something
than
and you've
half.
been furloughed, that's
The second highest ranking was 48% during the Great Depression.
just remember that if
That's
you're one of those people,
insane.
be very grateful that you have kind and generous parents who are allowing that to happen.
More than half.
That's crazy.
People under 30 live at home.
Wow, Katie, that's not you.
And it ain't I
Thanks,
love my
Tony.
parents. It ain't
Crazy. Thank you.
We'll stay tuned in to hear you on the Dave Glover Show coming up next. Ryan, are you sticking around to talk about polls or not sure
Yeah,
yet?
we're just gonna leave ourselves on, and they're not gonna take over.
Oh, right. False. Fake news.
So beat the drum with me.
It's that time of year again.